Basketball on the Gamecock Sports Network from
You've been listening to South Carolina women's basketball on the Gamecock Sports Network from Learfield. Today's coverage has been brought to you by Hardee's. Feed your happy and order ahead at Hardee's.com. Also by Prisma Health, the official healthcare provider for the Gamecocks. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Gamecock Sports Network.
Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union presents scenes from Palmetto Citizens job interviews.
Tell me, Emily, what makes you the right fit for our vice president of Getting Pumped role?
Well, I have 8 years of banking experience, and helping people get great rates makes me super excited.
Oh, can you elaborate?
Yeah, sometimes it's like a woo, other times it's more of a no, yeah!
Wow, just wow.
Palmetto Citizens. Feel the love. Federally insured by NCUA.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Columbia, make this spring the time you stop painting year after year and do what Greg did. He called Rhino Shield.
We live in a beautiful 2-story home that was built in 1916. Really been prepped and painted very, very poorly.
And Rhino Shield? It's not paint, it's better.
We really had a lot of detail work in the team at Rhino Shield. They spent really a full 4 days just on the prep work, and we were so excited to see that.
Stop painting year after year and get Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
We've gotten numerous compliments, and we've actually even had some of the longer-term residents of our community thank us for protecting the integrity of our home.
Here's owner Dan Hoey.
This offer's limited, so call today at 833-RHINO-99 or visit RhinoShieldCarolina.com. Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Personal injury lawyers are everywhere, and they come in all shapes and sizes. So how do you choose? I'm Michael Jeffcoat. I grew up in South Carolina. I went to school here, I met my wife here, and together we opened the Jeffcoat firm right here to help our community get the support they deserve. Over the last 25 years, we've won millions of dollars for injured accident victims right here in our home state.
We believe that local is better.
And you deserve better.
Responsible attorney is Michael Jeffcoat, 1333 Main Street, Columbia.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today. Fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
Halftime show, kind of, sort of. What's a little bit mini halftime show. Terry Ford, David Dare, we were hanging here up until 3. Then Jay and Elijah. Elijah from Greenville. The post-game shows Elijah, of course, covering the Gamecocks in the SEC tournament and through the NCAA tournament as well. So we hope is a back-to-back national championship run by the Gamecock women. But today, the first step in that journey was kind of weird. First half was phenomenal. South Carolina could not have played better in the first half. Scored 48, up 25. Vanderbilt had an 8-point second quarter. Malaysia Fulwiley and the Gamecocks just ran over Vanderbilt in the first half. The second quarter was 24-8. Unreal. Arguably the best first half of basketball they've had all year. And it was something else. We're going to get into it, talk about what happened in this third quarter and the second half, and talk about Chloe Kitts, how she saved Carolina's backside, so to speak, in the last 6 minutes. We'll get into all that as we roll on the condensed version of the halftime show. We go till 3, then the postgame show takes over here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam, you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
NIL is more important than ever to success in college athletics. Our friends at Garnet Trust are trying to build the best NIL program in the country for South Carolina student athletes. Head on over to garnettrust.com where you can support Gamecock athletes, get access to exclusive content, and help build the best NIL program in the country.
I know I got good taste, and when I'm in the mood to show it off, you already know I'm going to McDonald's. And with the Mix and Match deal, showing off has never tasted better. I can choose from the classics like the iconic Big Mac, juicy 10-piece chicken McNuggets, or my absolute favorite, the crispy filet of fish. Choose any two for just $6. What you waiting for? Head over to McDonald's and show off your good taste. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine it. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
It's time to remodel. Actually, it's been time to remodel, but you still haven't started. Well, there's no better time than right now. I'm Eddie Springer of Trey Cow Builders, and we really do make remodeling your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or whole house easy. At Trey Cow, we'll help you every step of the way. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit TRECALbuilders.com. Trey Cow Builders, quality from start to finish.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.
Sample Rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Hello, I'm Tom Reek with South Carolina Lumber and Supply in Casey, South Carolina. We specialize in lumber that focuses on the inside of your home. Shiplap, beaded ceiling, V-joint, and flooring. Because we focus on these areas only, we can provide you with quality products at incredible savings. So if you're looking for a simple accent wall, a porch ceiling, or a whole interior makeover, we're here to help. Come see us at 2245 Julius Felder Street in Casey. Our store hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, or give us a call at 803-608-3097. We look forward to working with you at South Carolina Lumber and Supply in Casey.
Looking for a great job with a winning team? Join American Italian Pasta Company, part of Winland Foods, right here in Columbia, where they've been proudly producing Mueller's pasta for nearly 30 years. They offer competitive pay, great benefits like 401k match, and paid parental leave. They're hiring industrial multi-craft maintenance techs, packaging, and press operators. Positions available on both first and second shifts. A high school diploma or GED and manufacturing experience are required. Apply today at winlandfoods.com/careers and grow with us. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
What's trending at 2 on the halftime show, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions on the Game Network and 107.5 The Game app.
Halftime show. The condensed version after Gamecocks basketball. David Ayer, Terry Ford hanging out with you here on The Game. Like we said, it was interesting. 84-63, Gamecocks advance to the semis tomorrow, which will be 4 o'clock pregame, 4:30 tip on our sister station B106 at 106.7. Again, that is tomorrow. South Carolina faces the winner of Oklahoma and Kentucky in the 4-5 game. South Carolina beat both of those teams. Kentucky gave the Gamecocks a fight. South Carolina ran over Oklahoma earlier in the season. The other quarters, Texas Ole Miss in the 2-7 game. And Florida with the upset over Alabama. The 11th seeded Gators face number 3 seeded LSU. So right now the top 4 seeds now getting into the tournament. South Carolina the first to play. Gamecocks advance. We'll see what happens with Texas, LSU, and Kentucky. But next up in the pecking order will be Kentucky and Oklahoma in the 4-5 game. All right, so this thing got tight. No reason. First of all, there was no reason for it to get tight. Like we said in the last segment, South Carolina played arguably their best half of basketball in the first 20. Going into the locker room up 48-23, just unbelievable display on both ends of the court. Defensively intense. Mikayla Bridges, the fancy freshman for Vanderbilt, struggling. Had South Carolina guards in her grill. Raven Johnson doing a phenomenal job on Bridges. Vandy couldn't make a shot from three, from inside the three. Couldn't stop South Carolina. It looked like the Gamecocks might win this thing by 50. Then the third quarter happened. And Vanderbilt came out and scored more points in the third quarter than they had in the total first half. And they chipped away at the lead. Took 13 points off the lead. 12 points off the lead in the third quarter. And kept chipping away more. And the Gamecocks missed a lot of easy shots in the third quarter. And it felt like this. And Dawn even said at halftime, talking to Holly Rowe, Dawn said, because Holly said, what are you going to say in the locker room to keep your team from getting complacent because they're up by 25 at halftime? Dawn even said, we got to keep playing ball. Basically, I'm a paraphrase. We got to keep our foot on the gas. We got to keep playing the way we are. We can't let off. We can't let down. But that seems like what South Carolina did, especially on the defensive end of the court. They just weren't playing with the same intensity, the same energy. It was almost like you go out there and you're like, yeah, we got this. We got this. Seriously, did you see us in the first half? We're good. And you give Vandy credit. South Carolina started getting loose with the rock, missing easy shots. All of a sudden, Vanderbilt's getting easier shots. They're making shots. And when Blake's, the fancy freshman from Vanderbilt, when Blake's hits a three, by the way, she banked it, which was just ridiculous. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game. Oops. Now things are getting interesting. And you had this thing in the bag. You had it in hand. And now you're looking at 68-63 going into a TV timeout. You come out, you run a play, Chloe Kitts scores. Whew, it's 7. Vandy misses, Kitts scores again. Whew, it's 9. Vanderbilt misses. Kitts that only gets the rebound, comes back down the floor, then gets a layup. A really pretty feed by Sanaya Fagan. All of a sudden, whew, it's 11. Chloe Kitts was huge in that run, scoring 7 straight before it was all said and done. Now, all of a sudden, with the Chloe Kitts run, it's 75-63. You're now up 12 inside of 2 minutes. Chloe Kitts, gigantic down the stretch for South Carolina. Then Malaysia Fawali took over and showed the magic. She assisted on, I believe, the last 3 hoops. And they were pretty assists, too. Highlight Sports Center, top 10 kind of stuff. And then South Carolina, look at the box score, win by 21, 84-63. And if you just see that, like if you're not watching this game or weren't keeping up with it, and let's just say you're looking at scores around the country, you go, South Carolina, they smacked Vanderbilt pretty easy. Not as easy as the scoreboard looks. And again, you won, and you won big, and it looks pretty on the bottom line scroll on ESPN, 21-point W. And you did, you got it together in crunch time, thanks to Chloe Kitts making some huge baskets, and then Fawali finishing that deal off with some pretty assists. But you let down in the second half and allowed Vanderbilt to get way too close for comfort. That should not have been the game. In the second half, Cocky should have been playing in the fourth quarter. And David Ayer. And instead, you were fighting for your life, only up 5 midway through the final period. Again, to your credit, you then got it together after that TV timeout, and I think Vanderbilt didn't make another hoop. If I'm not mistaken, Vandy went 0 for their final 7. And Vanderbilt did not score in the last 4:22. So, yes, you steadied the ship, which a lot of teams don't, and then you got your foot back on the gas and you got back in the fast lane and ran them over. So you get credit for that, absolutely. Lesser teams would have blown it and lost. So props to getting it together and then rolling on to the win. But you shouldn't have put yourself in that position with the way you played the first 15 minutes of the second half. So Dawn gets kind of the perfect world. She got a win, and now she gets to coach them up before tomorrow. And maybe, just maybe, this works to South Carolina's advantage because you kind of went, and then all of a sudden, your 25-point lead was down to 5. So maybe, just maybe, tomorrow, whether it's Kentucky or Oklahoma, if you get a big lead, you're not going to coast. And you're not letting your foot off the gas because of what happened today. We'll talk more about South Carolina's win over Vanderbilt and look at the rest of the SEC, the tournament where everything stands going into today and tonight. And we'll get a little baseball in here, too. We got a baseball game later tonight right here on 107.5, the game in Columbia, 100.3, the game in Myrtle Beach. We'll get into that as well. It's a halftime show, another half hour of it. Terry Ford and David Ayer steering the ship for us up till the top of the hour. Then Jay and Elijah. Elijah in Greenville covering the women's SEC tournament. So Jay and Elijah will be hanging out here starting at 3 here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
At Wells Fargo, we know what got you into your business. Whether it's manufacturing, running a restaurant, or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for was banking. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place, in your neighborhood and on our app, so you can focus on doing what you love. Wells Fargo, you're good at business, we're good at business banking. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/business. Terms apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Get a free second pair of glasses with insurance at iMart Express. Now with an upgraded selection of over 150 frames to choose from. Pick one for when you're busy doing nothing, and one for when you're up for anything. Plus, with free same-day speed, go from booking an eye exam to walking out with new glasses in a blink. So you can take your vision benefits further, faster. iMart Express. Get glasses? Go see.
I know I got good taste, and when I'm in the mood to show it off, you already know I'm going to McDonald's. And with the Mix and Match deal, showing off has never tasted better. I can choose from the classics like the iconic Big Mac, juicy 10-piece chicken McNuggets, or my absolute favorite, the crispy Filet-O-Fish. Choose any two for just $6. What you waiting for? Head over to McDonald's and show off your good taste. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Fun, fun, fun with friends and family. Saturday, March 29th, it's the historic 90th running of the Carolina Cup races presented by MUSC Health. Make tailgating plans now. Spring begins at the Carolina Cup. Unique fashion, shopping, entertainment, and incredible steeplechase racing all day long. There is nothing like the Carolina Cup races presented by MUSC Health. Get your tickets now at carolinacup.org. It's Saturday, March 29th, rain or shine in Camden.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today, fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text, you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done, no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, where the inventory is overflowing and the deals are in full bloom. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
And now, on the halftime show, it's the greatest day in the history of the world. On the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
The greatest day in the history of the world. We're going to preempt that today. We are. It's all good. It's what we call the shortened version of the halftime show. So we'll concentrate on the important stuff, which is the SEC tournament. South Carolina survives as they take out Vanderbilt in just a strange game. 84-63. South Carolina, if you add it up, played well, played phenomenally well for about 25 minutes of the 40. And then went in a funk the other 15. So that equals up to a 21-point victory. And, it was just, and give Vanderbilt credit. You're down 25 at halftime. A lot of times you end up losing by 125. But the Commodores in the second half, especially that third quarter, really got it cooking. Scored 25 in the quarter. Which, if you take their other three quarters combined, they scored 38. 25 in the third. And South Carolina just didn't have an answer. Vanderbilt was making shots. They were winning the hustle plays. They were the team that was, better on defense. South Carolina, they were asleep in the third quarter. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Vanderbilt because, again, part of the cause was Vanderbilt came out in the third quarter and played really well. But South Carolina just, the energy and intensity that the Gamecocks played with in the first half on both ends of the court just wasn't there. Again, you're up 25. You think you're going to cruise. Now it's like, man, this is going to be easy. I might work on my opposite hand three in the third quarter. But, all of a sudden, the lead's getting cut into and it keeps going in the fourth quarter. That first 5 minutes, about 5.5 minutes, Vanderbilt kept taking it to South Carolina, and then, the lead all of a sudden was 5. But like we went over in the last segment, Gamecocks got it together. Chloe Kitts was huge with 7 big points. It was a 7-0 Kitts run. And that saved South Carolina. Kitts, a career-high 25 to go along with 10 boards. Also dished a couple of assists. Malaysia Fulwiley was large coming off the bench. Fulwiley, 15 points, 6 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 3 from 3, made both of her free throws, dished out some pretty assists at the end of this basketball game, just pretty stuff. Had a behind-the-back pass for an assist in this game. Also, Fulwiley had 4 steals, but again, like Malaysia Fulwiley, 5 turnovers and some ill-advised shots. But Fulwiley, make no mistake, goes through stretches where she just takes over games. And her speed and quickness and aggressiveness, there's not a player in America with those gears. She gets to the rack sometimes, and you're just like, wow. if she could learn how to consistently finish at the basket, God knows how many points she'd average a game. There's probably two off the top of my head drives to the bucket where she just didn't finish. And it wasn't like anybody altered the shot. She wasn't under any hassle, heat, or duress. She just missed the bunny. And after making a sweet move or two, and then hitting the gears to get to the basket, she just couldn't finish the layup. But she's got game. I mean, skills like nobody's business. It's just, if she, and Dawn said this at halftime when she was praising Fulwiley, because Fulwiley was excellent in the first half. Dawn said, if she ever puts it all together, she's going to be scary. And it's absolutely the truth. She will be scary. If her level of efficiency ever equals her level of spectacular, she will be the best player in America. She will be the most unguardable player in America. It's just the efficiency right now. And it's getting there. It's getting better, but she still, at times, forces shots she shouldn't force. She'll miss an easy one or two. But, man, there are stretches of games where you just shake your head and go, good Lord, she can play. 15 for Fulwiley. Joyce Edwards also in double digits with 12 to go with 4 rebounds. Sanaya Fagan was really good in this game as well. 13 points, cleaning up a lot of messes in the paint with some putbacks, 6 of 8 from the floor. Also 9 rebounds, a couple of pretty assists too from Fagan. Fagan's not flashy. Fagan's good. I think it's a shame that I think her eligibility will be up this year because she has skills. She really does. People I've talked to said it's just the lack of confidence in herself has held her back during her career. But she really does have she has some skills. She can pass it. She scores around the basket. She can put the ball on the deck, a little 2 or 3 dribble deal, get to the hoop, make some smart basketball plays. She set a screen, and Fulwiley went to the basket, missed the layup, and then Fagan got the rebound put back for a deuce. And she sealed off her man, and it was just beautiful. It was just pretty floor game basketball. Just a fundamentally sound basketball play. I mean, I really like Fagan. Now, again, is she spectacular? No. But she is a very solid all-around basketball player. Even had a couple of blocks. So, solid game for her as well. South Carolina is shooting almost 55% from the floor, 45% from 3, 75% from the line. Again, the turnovers were an issue, 15 of those. Did have 12 steals. This assisted on 17 of 35 makes, 42 rebounds in the game. 15 of them were offensive boards. A lot of good stats. The bad stat, again, the turnovers and the fact that South Carolina kind of went to sleep in the third quarter and for the first part of the fourth quarter. But 84-63. All right, enough of what we have to say here at Command Central in Columbia. Let's jump in with Elijah Campbell in the next segment. He is obviously covering the Gamecocks for us in Greenville. We will speak with Elijah Campbell next and get his thoughts on South Carolina's 84-63 win over Vanderbilt next on the Halftime Show. David Dare, punching the buttons. This is Terry Ford. We go a little bit longer, till 3 here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. The Bengals granted permission to their star defensive end Trey Hendrickson to seek a trade. The NFL sack leader wants more money. Once again, the Bengals don't want to pay. They've been letting talented defensive players out of the building the last couple years, and guess what happened? Now their defense stinks. You have Joe Burrow at quarterback. Go all in. Unfortunately, the Bengals just don't seem to think that way. I'm Andrew Perloff.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.
Sample Rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-299-0287. That's 800-299-0287. 800-299-0287.
Now, on the halftime show, it's time for our Firehouse Subs Text of the Hour on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
All righty. Wrapping up the halftime show, one final segment. We'll go our Firehouse Sub Text of the Hour. We'll do it live with Elijah from Greenville with the Text of the Hour.
All right.
What are you doing, man?
It's a verbal text of the hour.
That's right, the verbal text of the hour called in by Elijah C. from Greenville. How you doing, dude?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, currently watching the end of this first quarter between Kentucky and Oklahoma. Obviously, the winner takes on South Carolina tomorrow. But, man, shades of last year's SEC semifinal, between Carolina and Tennessee, who lay Vanderbilt made them sweat it out a little bit.
You know, it was a weird game, wasn't it? I mean, South Carolina might have played their best first half of the year, right? They've scored 48. Vanderbilt was in single digits in the second quarter. Both ends of the court, Carolina's locked, focused, intense, a ton of energy. Come out in the third quarter and go, and the next 15 minutes, that lead evaporated to 5. And then, Elijah, the last 5 minutes, they go on this big run, and all of a sudden it looks like a blowout again. Very weird game.
It was. You see, the last 5 minutes of the game, closing time Chloe happened, right? I mean, you needed somebody on this team, somebody to take over and stop the run. It's something we've talked about a couple times, the difference between maybe last year's team and this year's team. Like Camilla was that. It was closing time Camilla because you just dump the ball into her and you can get you a quick, easy 2 and kind of stop the run a little bit. They didn't have that same Band-Aid this year. They've been kind of looking for it all year, and a team with so many scoring options, it can be easier said than done, but a fantastic job by Chloe, being able to get the ball in her spot, finishing through contact. This might be her most efficient game yet. I know she had a great way to close up the Michigan game, first game of the year, had a really good time closing out against Duke, because really this game kind of mirrored the Duke game back in November, long time ago it feels like. But in that game, Duke made a run, hit a lot of threes, cut the lead that was once double digits down to single digits, and then Chloe took over. Same type of deal today. Chloe finished through contact really well, finished near the rim, and you saw the leap that she's been able to make from last year to this year. By the way, she was able to close this game out.
Elijah Campbell hanging out with us, covering the Gamecocks live from Greenville at the SEC tournament here on the halftime show on the game. You know, and you bring up something very interesting. We've seen this year. You know, you're missing the closer, the bouncer that says finish your drink and get the hell out of the bar, right? You're missing that closer consistently. And you know, the thing with Chloe Kitts is, like, because a lot of these players that returned, Elijah, are now asked to do more in different roles. Chloe Kitts being asked more this year. Then, with the injury to Ashlyn Watkins, now you have players being even asked to do more, especially on defense, rebounding, blocking shots, blah, blah, blah. If Chloe Kitts could keep the confidence she showed in the last 5 minutes of this game through this postseason, maybe you can find that bucket getter at the end when everything's tight. You know, dude, you played ball. The last 2 or 3 minutes of a game, totally different than the other 37 minutes. A lot of people pucker up at the end, if you know what I'm saying. You need somebody who's not going to be puckering.
And there was a little bit of what our friend Langston Moore will call lemon butt at the end of that game, too. I mean, you saw when Vanderbilt was making that run. South Carolina committed a string of about 3 or 4 turnovers, especially along their own baseline, that were kind of careless turnovers. A sloppy pass here and there, a dribble off of somebody's foot, or trying to make like an entry pass to the post, and instead of, putting touch on it and lobbing it when the post is fronted, is more of a line drive and the ball goes out of bounds. There's a couple of just careless stuff that happened in the fourth quarter of that game, and credit to Vanderbilt, they played hard, man, and they made sure they were going to make South Carolina pay for some of those turnovers, and they did. Michaela Blake took some really tough shots late, and ultimately it kind of forced South Carolina's hand to have to tighten up. And the big difference is when you needed one person to step up in that moment, Chloe was your most reliable bucket getter, and they kept feeding it, to their credit.
Elijah Campbell, live from Greenville at the Women's SEC Tournament here on the game. Of course, Elijah jumped in with Jay on the halftime show from 3 to 6 today. All right, so is it this easy? Is it you go in with a 25-point halftime lead and everybody just goes, hey, we got this, all good. Where are we going to go eat after the game? What do you guys want to do in Greenville? It felt like they really did let their foot off the gas, and the energy level was nowhere near what it was in the first half. Was it that easy, or did Vanderbilt actually make a couple of adjustments coming out of the locker room that contributed to this, or was it really just South Carolina dropping their intensity level?
Some of the turnovers they had in that second half could lead you to reasonably believe that there was a little bit of taking the foot off the gas, right? When you do take your eye off the ball and you don't catch it, it goes out of bounds, or you dribble it off your foot, that can be just some focus level type stuff. But what Vanderbilt defensively did today was be really aggressive. They sent 2 to the ball a lot. They blitzed almost every single ball screen. And it gave South Carolina trouble in that first quarter. When the game was tight in the first quarter, it was because South Carolina's guards had a hard time with the blitzing of the ball screen. Vanderbilt was just really aggressive, and they said, if you're going to get entry pass to the post, we're going to make you do it over 2 guards on your guard, right? And then South Carolina made an adjustment. They moved their ball screens a little closer to the three-point line, closer to the free throw line, and were making pocket passes and being able to spread the ball around. Then in the second half, Vanderbilt kind of extended that same philosophy, just full court. So at that point, you're down 20-plus. What do you have to lose? What's the difference between losing by 10 and 25, right? So they would start, spreading out their defense, extending that pressure to as soon as South Carolina inbounded the ball. And I think that rushed Carolina a little bit. I think when South Carolina's rushed, then unless it's Mylacia Fulwiley in a fast break, or Maddie McDaniel in a fast break, or a couple of the players that handle the break really well, then things can get a little hairy. That's when turnovers can happen. That's when some of the unforced turnovers happen. So I think Vanderbilt did a really good job getting back into the game, mostly by applying ball pressure on more spots of the floor where South Carolina was uncomfortable having that type of ball pressure.
Elijah, I'm thinking about this as we're talking about it. Didn't Ole Miss, it might not have been the same, but Ole Miss put a ton of pressure on the Carolina ball handlers full court in that Ole Miss game, and it worked for a bit. So did Vanderbilt kind of, watch that game when they're doing their scouting and said, look, we're not Ole Miss, but we're going to, with our personnel, try to also make those guards uncomfortable? Is this something we could see moving forward, not just in the SEC tournament, but in the NCAA tournament?
Well, not only do I think that's something we're going to see moving forward, but that's also something that the players see moving forward. When I was talking to Bree Hall in the locker room after the game, she said we didn't handle those blitzing ball screens, that ball pressure full court as well as we probably should have. And she even said there's probably some teams that are seeing that on film and going to start applying it. We got to be able to play more under control and be able to handle that better because they're fully expecting it. And I think that's the message Sean's going to give them too, is that you showed a little bit of weakness in how you were handling Vanderbilt's ball pressure. So, that's something you noticed. That's something I noticed. And the players are now cognizant of it too. So that's one thing moving forward that we really should watch for is how other teams defend South Carolina full court, or maybe just by sending more defenders to the ball on screen, and maybe at random. Vanderbilt sometimes didn't even require a ball screen for them to send 2 to the ball. Sometimes they would just do it at random, and that gave Carolina some trouble. So that's definitely something that's on the minds of these players right now.
All right, I'll let you go so you can get ready to yap with Jay for 3 hours.
Yeah, I get to do my day job. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, my friend. We appreciate you. Good work, okay?
Awesome. Good chatting with you.
All right, man. All right, that's Elijah Campbell live from Greenville at the site of the women's tournament where South Carolina will move on to play the winner of Kentucky, Oklahoma.
I'm back.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
So you don't get to say like that kind of thing. I didn't
know you were standing there. I would never have said these things.
Here.
I didn't. If I knew you were standing there, I never would have said that.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm well.
I lost the bet. You came back.
Yeah, I love New York City.
So you're like me. I go to New York City. I don't want to leave.
New York City, man. I'm a big fan, and had a good time.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
good for you.
But glad to be back. It's
What'd you bring me back from New York?
Not one thing. Maybe some communicable thing I picked up on the subway.
Say, don't touch me. Did you sanitize properly before you came in? Hey, what do you got coming up today on the old show, bud?
Russell Fry is going to talk about this NIL bill he's got in Congress. Shane was up there this week, so we're going to do some of that. Stuart Lake talking baseball, and Elijah Campbell live from Greenville. Although I think you just took all that. So, yeah.
All right, post-game show, Jay and Elijah in Greenville. David Dare, fine work, my friend. We'll do this again on Monday, halftime show. See you.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today, fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text, you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done, no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances, and Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample Rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Build monthly.
Firehouse Subs has partnered with Hot Ones to introduce 2 new limited-time subs. The Zesty Garlic Hook and Ladder features Hot Ones garlic Fresno hot sauce, crispy garlic chips, and marinated onions for a milder heat.
The Spicy Dill Hook and Ladder takes it up a notch with the Last Dab Pickle, a dill pickle marinated in Reaper hot sauce. Both subs are served on the classic Hook and Ladder you know and love with piled high smoked turkey, honey ham, melted pepper jack cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes.
Order both subs today at a Firehouse Subs near you.
Enjoy up to 70% off premium products, designer handbags, gift cards from national chains, autographed sports memorabilia, cruises, hotel accommodations, and more. SweetDeals.com. Click Premium.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Act now for spectacular savings on the best selection of new Chevys. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law, Lexington Discount Homes, and Winland Foods.
On the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome into the post-game show alongside Where am I? It's like a time warp.
We've rewound to a year and a half ago.
It's a time warp. Where's Haney? Where's Deuce?
Where's Mike Morgan?
Oh, goodness gracious. Welcome aboard. Good to be back. Elijah will join us again in just a second. Obviously, he was just on from the Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
Mm-hmm. Boy, it's got a real manly name to it, doesn't it?
And I've told you that story before,
yes, right? You did.
Although somebody hit me and said it's always been called arena, not center. And I'm like, well, then I don't know. But anyway, no, good to be back. Jay Phillips here, Terry Ford alongside Captain Dave at Master Control, and appreciate all of you being with us here. Nice win for the Gamecocks. They got mad with about 5 minutes to play.
They should have. They needed to.
Yeah, they did.
They needed to because the shot of Dawn on the sideline.
Yeah,
Dawn was not happy.
No, and I think some fans have. I don't want to say question, but what, Terry? 90. I'm going to say 98 of 100 basketball coaches call timeouts far sooner than Dawn likes to. Mm-hmm. And Dawn knows that she has 2 starting fives, and she basically says to them, and this goes back years. Hey, you dug your hole. You got the shovel. You figure it out. I'm not. I can't. What do you want me to do about it? And that's I remember I've told the story before. I remember like when I was like 11, playing first base for the first time ever. And it's like a Bill Buckner thing. And I remember looking over at my coach. I was like scared. I was like, he's going to yell at me. And he did the shoulder shrug out. What do you want me to do? Go get the damn ball.
Keep your glove down.
Go get the ball. It's like while the play was going on, right? And I'm like, because I played center field, man. But anyway, but that's the point. The point I'm making is, you did it. You fix it. And Dawn, that's the kind of player she was. It's the kind of coach she is. And ultimately, the vast majority of the time, I would say the 98 out of 100 times, her team does indeed go and figure it out. And once they started to play lockdown defense again, it was done in a 14, 15, whatever it was, run to finish the ball game and turn what was getting very uncomfortable into, if all you see, and let's face it, a lot of decision makers, if you will, are going to look at that score and go, yeah, South Carolina by 21 points. No big deal. Yeah, that's what they should have done.
Absolutely.
But Vandy did cut it to 5. Good win. Carolina awaits the winner of this Kentucky-Oklahoma game, which is tight with about 3.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. Kentucky is up 3. This is 4 versus 5 seed-wise at the SEC tournament. So Carolina gets that winner tomorrow afternoon. The night session tonight is Mississippi versus Texas and Florida versus
How about
LSU.
Florida, the 11 seed, man?
Yeah, Florida. But I got a hunch.
Yeah.
That magic runs out tonight. But if not...
LSU's been scuffling a little bit. They're without their best player.
Yeah.
We'll see.
A little bit.
But you know what? I mean, Dawn has all the McDonald's All-Americans in the country, so Kim Mulkey is limping around with no talent.
Yeah. No, but again, in the end, a solid win for South Carolina, and they move on to another one as they look to establish themselves once again as the best team in the country.
There is, and Dawn's not the only coach. There are coaches that say, look, if I let you learn how to get out of it, you learn how to get out of it. And there is a school of thought that says if your players figure it out for themselves on the court without you having to call a timeout and run a play or settle them down or walk up and give them all a wet willy or whatever you're going to do, they in the game will learn how to dig themselves out of stuff or prevent themselves from getting into deeper stuff.
And I think that's what she wants. I think I honestly believe that second point is the one that is most in top of mind for Dawn is what are you doing that's allowing this to happen? And she made mention. It's funny how this came about. In post-game, it's a game of runs, but she was saying some of those things to Holly Rowe at halftime about what you've got to do to make sure that you're in the right position. And speaking to Holly again, and all the ladies on the panel up there. She lets her team figure these things out, and like I said, I come back around. She can't do it. So you got to go do it. And I do appreciate that part of how she coaches. But, again, comfortable win in the end for South Carolina. That's all that matters. And like Elijah said about how Vandy was playing, what's the difference in losing by 10 or 25 or 1? A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
And Vandy's good. They have 22 wins. There's a good basketball team.
And one of the best freshmen in America.
Yeah, South Carolina is going to get pushed. The blessing and the curse of what Dawn has built is the expectation level is so immensely high that when any team begins to get close to South Carolina, there's this sense of, what are y'all doing wrong? And without wanting to stop and give at least some credit to the opponent. And the question you asked, Elijah, I thought was a good one there about 10 minutes ago. Like, how much of this was Carolina or Vandy? And it's definitely a combination. Where, percentage-wise, in the middle, I'm not so sure. But it isn't. I always come back, Terry. You've heard me say this when you and I were working together all those years. I remember Deuce sitting next to me back in like 08, and he didn't say it to me specifically. It was more about just game planning and things like the other guys watch film too. And his point was sometimes fans just believe it's only about their team, which is fine. That's what fans are. It's what is my team doing right? What is my team doing wrong? And you don't necessarily want to think about the other team.
Yeah.
But, that's always stuck with me. The other guys watch film too. Vandy saw what was happening. Vandy's won a bunch of games. Vandy has good basketball players, not as good as South Carolina. But you shouldn't be too surprised that a good team plays well. I mean, look, 3 of the 4 quarters, South Carolina was dominant, but in one of them, they weren't.
And that's the thing. When you watch them be so dominant, you get fans that go, why can't you just be dominant all 40 minutes like that?
It's hard.
And the other thing is, too, it's, again, so much of this is also when you dictate the game, right? Mm-hmm. When you start dictating the tempo or dictating the pace or dictating the style of play, you're putting the other team on the defensive. And Vanderbilt, to their credit, said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to start trapping. We're going to start putting heat on the ball handlers. So if they beat us by 50, who cares?
Right.
Because you know this, Jay. If you put heat on the ball handlers and the ball handlers handle it, there's a lot of wide open folks down at the other end for layups.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt didn't care.
Right.
And the idea, I do think South Carolina came out like the game was over in the second half in that third quarter. And the perfect storm of that was all of a sudden Vanderbilt got back in the game.
I think, and that's why I say there's a combination of Vandy potentially, especially in the first, say, 2 minutes of the third quarter, realizing, coaches read body language. Like, hey, up the game. Let's watch what happens here. Let's do it. And Vandy, I'm looking at the 25-13 was the score of the third quarter, to start the second half. So, I mean, Vandy came out, sensed what was up. I don't want to say smelled blood in the water because that's not what it was, but just as you say, a little, all right, little exhale for Carolina. Oop, not quite yet. And then when it got to 5, Carolina was like, oh, bleep.
Oh, geez. And we talk, Elijah and I were talking about this, and we'll see moving forward. If you watch the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss was very aggressive defensively going after the Carolina guards. Mm-hmm. They picked them up full court. They really put a lot of pressure on the Carolina guards, bringing the ball up. Even once Carolina got across half court, they were putting pressure on the ball from half court to the three-point line. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of Vanderbilt in this game when Vanderbilt was really starting to pressure the guards. Now you've seen 2 games now and it was different type of pressure, but the opposing team putting a lot of defensive pressure on the Carolina guards, either to take the rhythm out of the offense, make them start the offense way away from the basket. 3, make them, rush because now you're wiping time off the shot clock when you're trying to navigate this pressure. We'll see if teams start doing this moving forward more because they've seen it now work in spurts with Ole Miss and also Vanderbilt.
Elijah will catch up with us again in just a little bit from Greenville. We'll have some sound from Dawn coming up a little bit later on for you, too. Let's set up the rest of the program. Stuart Lake will join us. The coach will be on the call tonight. I believe he and Cade, because Derek, I don't know if Derek's going up to Knoxville tomorrow or not. Actually, I should know this.
I think he will be in Knoxville tomorrow.
I think so.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yes.
Tomorrow.
But tonight. Sometimes Derek likes to just go, but tomorrow's game's at 2, so unless Derek wants to get up at like 6.
I mean, I can see Derek getting up at.
I could too.
He gets up at 5, knock down a couple of raw eggs like Rocky, take a jog, punch some raw meat.
It's not as easy though right now to get to Knoxville directly because of the I-40 stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say 40's still screwed up.
40's going to be screwed up till about 2030.
Sure, you go that. Well,
I don't go that side too much, but the other side, a few miles west of Knoxville or of Asheville, where the road washed out. I say a few miles.
I got a buddy of mine who works in Asheville. He says, it'll be a while.
Oh, it's going to be a while.
It'll be a while.
And they were already doing construction, so they're just going to move all the construction guys from one spot to somewhere else to fix I-40. So I don't know, but Stuart. Regardless of who the play-by-play man is tonight, whether it's Cade or Derek, Stuart's going to be the analyst. And he'll be with us.
You're positive on that, right?
And yes. Stuart's going to be here in like 20 minutes.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, he won't be here. He'll be on the phone in like 20 minutes.
Why didn't he come here?
You have to ask him.
I mean, game's here.
It is. I think he's got stuff to do.
What's more important than coming here and hanging out with us?
Well, Terry, even I wasn't going to be here. So I hope that answers your question.
You didn't even want to hang out with us.
It is good to be back, though. I had a very good friend of ours texted me a little while ago. hey, everything okay with you? I'm like, what's up? I just saw a lot of things on the station Twitter feed that said just Elijah on the show. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in. I wanted to be a smart ass.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Did you actually put it in a message and then erase it?
Only in my head. And I was like, you know what? Because this particular, I don't want to say who it is. I told you who it was, but I was like, this particular friend is a very funny person, but sometimes might take it too seriously if I'm not careful. So I just decided, just tell the truth. But for those of you, if you may be wondering, and I doubt you were, my wife and our two youngest went to New York City this week. They had spring break that coincided, because one's in college, but their spring breaks coincided. And neither one of them had ever been to New York. So it was great. Now, their indoctrination on Sunday was kind of rough.
And what did they think?
Oh, they loved it.
Okay.
No, they loved it. But it was kind of rough because it was a beautiful day sunshine-wise, Terry. But it was about 20-something mile-an-hour winds and a high of about 33. So it was cold with a K, my man.
Oh, that wind. When that wind is cold, it's miserable.
But they wanted to see, so we kind of did, we did nothing but touristy stuff. So we walked around, we got there early, and actually, the first thing we did, I'm dead serious, we stayed in Times Square. But the first thing we did, we were so hungry. We were like, what do you want? Krispy Kreme.
Are you serious?
We went to Times Square Krispy Kreme.
Serious? You went all the way to New York City.
All the way to New York City to get Krispy Kreme. Yeah. So that was it. Then we turned around and left. That was it. No, we walked up to the park after that, and
park is very cool.
I love the park.
Park's cool.
They wanted to see the plaza, so we walked around the other side of the park and saw the plaza, and then came back down and had some lunch at Junior's. Yeah, we were doing all this touristy stuff.
Oh yeah, I love the pie place. What was it?
Well, Junior's Cheesecake. That what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Junior's Cheesecake. I love Junior's Cheesecake.
Yeah, but we had a Junior's.
They got a bunch of different cheesecakes.
Oh, Junior's. Yeah. Well, Junior's is great. Junior's is just it's just a great old school diner restaurant place, man. I mean, my pastrami sandwich.
I was going to say, they're big as your head.
Yeah, it was great.
It's phenomenal.
It cost $20, but I'm like, you know what?
I know.
It was worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what's funny? First time I went to New York City, I was 18 years old. We drove up, wanted to troll around 54th Street. I'll just say this. The Times Square you see today is not the area I saw at 18.
I believe you.
It was a whole... I'm walking around there going, wow, this is so different.
Yeah.
This is
I'm a big New York fan, man. It doesn't stop. And all the things that you sound, the city that never sleeps. But it's true.
It's true.
And it's just the vibrance. And yeah, even if you're into touristy spots, but we went down to Soho and we went up to the Upper East for a little bit around the area around the Met and just see some different spots. And then on the way to the airport, even driving through Brooklyn a little bit and up into Queens, just to see it, man. It's I love that place.
I'm like you. I love New York City.
Yeah, I love it.
Every time I go, I'm like, oh, God, I wish I could afford to live here.
And we saw a new show called Hamilton.
I never heard of it.
Yeah,
Hamilton.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about it later.
What is this about?
It's a history thing.
Oh, that sounds boring.
It's not going to catch
boring.
on.
Sounds boring. History.
But we had a good time. But it is nice to be back in beautiful Columbia, South Carolina. Russell Fry coming up talking NIL legislation and get into a few NFL and SEC things as well. It's the Friday post-game show.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. 107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Clark. Garnet Trust is hoping to build the best and most sustainable NIL program in the country. To find out how you can get involved, go on over to garnettrust.com. You can support Gamecock athletes there, get access to exclusive content, and help Garnet Trust build the best NIL program in the country.
country. Tired of the endless wait for a tee time at your club? Discover the best kept secret in the Midlands and experience a country club like no other. Orangeburg Country Club. Immerse yourself in a lifestyle that combines readily available tee times with exceptional social and dining experiences. Weekdays or weekends, they've got your golf game covered with pristine conditions and fast greens. Ready to elevate your leisure time? Contact the club at info@orangeburgcc.com or call 803-534-5988. Join us and swing into the good life.
Columbia, Josh loves the spring, but he hates to paint, so he called Rhino Shield.
We have a cedar-sided home at the edge of the woods, painted like 1980s beige. We wanted something that was more of a mid-century and modern look. We were driving around and we saw a sign in somebody's yard that said Rhino Shield. It's not paint.
It's not paint, it's better.
We gave Rhino Shield a call, and they were fantastic with the arrangement on the schedule. The 25-year guarantee was important to us. This is our forever home, and we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is going to last a long time.
Columbia, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield now for 15% off the regular price.
I'd say if you're thinking about Rhino Shield, just do it. It's been 2 years now, and it still looks like the day it went on.
Here's owner Dan Hoey.
This offer's limited, so call today at 833-RHINO-99 or visit RhinoShieldCarolina.com. Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
No paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today, fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text, you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done, no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
Spring is here and Corley Pool Solutions is making pools great again. That's right. Call today and line up your maintenance for the spring and summer. 803-445-8109. With flat rate pricing, it is more affordable for you to use Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions than to try and maintain the pool yourself. Call today and learn more. 803-445-8109. Call Corley Pool Solutions. Line up your spring and summer maintenance today.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law. Remember, who you hire matters. Go to hollyatkinslaw.com.
On the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
Minutes after 3 o'clock here on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford hanging out. Elijah transitioning from the courtside and post-game interview opportunities into coming back on the program. He'll be with us coming up right after we talk to Stuart, which will be in just a few minutes' time. Captain David, Master Control. But again, yours truly away for the first part of the week in NYC, back home in Columbia. Got home about midnight
Did you?
Back to the house about
Back to the house?
Yeah, about midnight.
It didn't take that long once you had. How long did you wait for your bags to spin around the spool before
No,
you
they were.
finally got them?
Now here in Columbia, not at all, man.
Nice.
I got down there and they were there because I think there was like maybe our flight was half full, and I think there were maybe 6 people that checked the bag.
Perfect.
I guess so. It was all right there.
Nothing worse than just watching that thing spin around.
Yeah.
Without your stuff, or worse, you go, "Oh wow, some poor schmuck's suitcase is
You know
open
what?
and his stuff's going everywhere."
I know you're going to think this is crazy. LaGuardia was. I mean, it's LaGuardia, but even LaGuardia was not. They've built like a whole Delta wing, I guess now, like a new, and it's very nice.
Sweet.
And my 16-year-old said, "Dad, this is like the mall."
Yeah.
And I was
absolutely.
like, I said it is because they want you comfortable, they want you hanging around, they want you to spend some money while you're here, and you got stores and restaurants galore.
I always said airport's really a mall with airplanes.
Yeah, at least in big cities. Yeah, yeah. Not so much ours here, but I like our little airport, but it is little.
It works.
But it works. Planes can take off and land.
Yeah, that's what matters.
That's all. That's all that matters. But I'm back. We did see Hamilton. We saw a fun show called The Play That Goes Wrong, a comedy, a British comedy.
It's a British comedy.
It was great, man. It was funny. It was great. I love that kind of stuff. And I wanted the girls to see those kind of things too. So we had some good food and we had a good time. I did see a couple of things. First, I don't know how it was received here in town. You and I have talked enough, and I've made, I've talked to some folks who were around the ACC, FSU, Clemson negotiating process. So I knew this was coming. And, FSU and Clemson still have hefty buyouts for a couple of years. And then I think by 2031, I suppose, and I'm serious when I say it this way, even though it sounds like I'm, again, being a smart aleck, shocker, $75 million 6 years from now is probably a lot more manageable. Mm-hmm. That really might just end up being somewhere close to, at least for ACC schools, a year and a half's worth of revenue.
Mm-hmm. Roughly.
Like additional conference revenue. I don't mean total revenue, but conference revenue. Especially considering the new plan the ACC put into place. I'm going to be curious to find out a couple of things. One, is this really going to be beneficial for the entire Atlantic Coast Conference? Two, will this trigger in some way other conferences wanting to do something like this?
That's my thing right there.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier in the week when everything first kicked. It's like, okay, if you're the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and you see this popping in the ACC and you're one of the big revenue generators in those conferences, you're going, it's a really good idea. Maybe we ought to investigate that in our league. Here's my thing, and you tell me, because maybe I'm missing something, is, okay, you're the ACC. You have an ironclad grant of rights deal that nobody can break.
Yes.
Nobody.
And that's why we are where we are.
And you basically gave up some of that.
Yes.
To make Florida State and Clemson as happy as you can possibly make them, taking away from your other institutions in the process. But are you saying to the rest of these institutions, you don't matter anywhere as much as Florida State and Clemson does to our brand?
No, I don't think so. And here's why. I get your point, and I don't disagree with that notion. The way I look at it, though, and whether it's spin or not, you've seen some things this week that are basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing now, but we hope this will be an incentive for others. Look, North Carolina is going to jump all over this too, Terry.
No, sure they are.
North Carolina State's going to jump all over this. Georgia Tech's going to jump all over this. By the way, you want a fun fact? Do you know who the most, and I just kind of gave it away, but do you know who the most viewed football team in the ACC was last year?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Atlanta's kind of a big city.
I mean, it's not typical.
But they were good last year.
But they were better last year, and they played in 2 marquee games. Now, one of them was with Florida State. The other was, of course, with Georgia. But even in the in-between, but the most viewed team football-wise in 2024 for the ACC was Georgia Tech, not Clemson, Florida State, or Miami. Just something to think about.
Who's in the bottom part of that, the viewership of football in the ACC is North Carolina.
Yeah, well, they weren't very good.
No, and again, I know
that fan base, listen, they're only engaged if there's a reason.
They care about hoops. Yeah. They just do. And you're not going to change that in North Carolina.
Not to a large degree. No.
But he brought in a coach who's got a little bit of a resume in the pros.
Well, that's why I say I think North Carolina is going to latch on to this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And between what they've done with Belichick and how much they're going to pay him and bringing in Michael Lombardi, and then what they're going to do to keep Hubert, and forgive me, I forget the GM's name that they're going to do, but that's the reason they kept Hubert, is because they feel like they will bring someone in who it was an NBA agent.
Mm-hmm. His name, I'm blanking name, too.
But, I think he went to Chapel Hill, and he's going to help them get some things done. They're I hate the term sometimes, but they're all in.
Well, they've got to do something because, I mean, the one thing that drove Mac Brown crazy was the lack of NIL care for the football side.
Yeah, that's just it. I just think there wasn't a lot of,
but here's the thing.
Concern.
I also heard that's the same thing on the basketball side at Chapel Hill.
It is. That's why
the NIL in general just wasn't cooking. And I heard on the basketball side, they were just, recruits are getting paid by other schools. You go to North Carolina for a visit. Have you ever looked at our Michael Jordan stuff?
Yeah, we're North Carolina.
You ever know we have All-Americans, we win national titles?
I hate to say this because, guys in our generation, and that's really almost, anybody over 40 right now, at least say 40 to 70, looks at Jordan in ways that an older generation looked at Russell and Wilt.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the territory that Jordan is climbing into as, the space-time continuum moves forward, right?
Yeah.
If you're 16, you know Michael Jordan primarily because of that Jumpman logo.
Yeah, you never saw Michael
Jordan play.
Not live.
No, you didn't. You weren't alive at all.
Mm-mm.
Right? And your parents were even kind of young, probably, if you're in high school right now.
Let's say your parents are 40, if they're between 35 and 40.
If you're under 40, you're not necessarily, you're a LeBron and Kobe type. And that's great. I got no problem with that. But Kobe and LeBron didn't go to college anywhere. They got nothing to sell from that point of view. And for North Carolina, there really hasn't been... there have been some great players, and Roy won 3 titles, but Roy won 3 titles with teams, not with stars. And Dean, look, Jordan and Worthy and Perkins, they were pretty good, man.
Last time I checked, they're all right.
They're pretty good.
They're all right.
But this deal, but real quick, I'm with you. I do think that your Michigans, Ohio States, Alabamas, Texases, and such will look at that. But here's the thing. I think the way the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, and I could be totally wrong here, but the way they're structured, it's working for everybody already because they're making so much more money. But here's the thing, Terry. If there ever is a so-called super league of however many schools, and these guys want to say, well, we get all the eyeballs. If there's standings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody finishes first, yes? What happens down here? Somebody finishes last.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They don't want to be that.
Mm-mm. No.
They don't want to be that.
So
and if you get the top 16, I'm air quoting, top 16 schools, someone every year is guaranteed to finish last. And none of them want to be last.
Not good for the brand.
It's not. So I don't know that the same principles apply. We'll see. Again, we'll see.
In the words of the great Gordon Gekko, greed is good.
Well, it's all about capitalism, and whether we like it or not. Listen, and it has been, too. You and I have talked about this. Yeah. When Oklahoma and Georgia sued the NCAA in the early 80s, it was over money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That was a long time ago.
There's never been a level playing field in college athletics financially, and there never will be.
No,
nope.
So there you go. Stuart Lake on the other side talking Gamecock baseball. Carolina hosting Morehead State this weekend before conference play begins. And Elijah will join us from Greenville in just a bit. You're listening to the Friday postgame show.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
Love telling you about our good friends at Integrated Media, how you watching what you watch, how you listening to what you listen to, all right? How you streaming what you stream, whatever it might be when it comes to those things, even how you protecting your home. Integrated Media, ready to help you out with that and so much more. The best when it comes to home theater installation and service. The best in making sure that the Wi-Fi works all around the house for everything that you do. Streaming, gaming, a lot of folks working from home. As Michael Geddes reminded me, when the kids have those school days where something's happening, but they got to do it at home, the learn from home days, you're able to connect and get everything done. Integrated Media, ready to make all that happen. Plus, again, video cameras for security systems, all controlled from an app on your phone. They can get it done for you. Call them up. They make house calls, 803-948-8327. Not just the best in home theater, the best in home technology. Integrated Media.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Tackle your spring cleaning list with Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning Spring Sale. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game and get 3 rooms for $119 plus a free hallway. Book online at ZerustColumbia.com.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Why? Because you're not playing me.
With rapid-fire takes.
Y'all went from the Super Bowl straight to the toilet bowl. He's not over the NFL. The NFL is over him.
Scorching debates.
All the good, all the bad, all the ups, all the downs.
He's the Spitfire of sports smack.
Sorry for what I said because it was appropriate when I said it, but I can't say it anymore, dude. You are killing the game.
The Jim Rome Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Winland Foods. Looking for a great job with a winning team? Apply at winlandfoods.com/careers.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
3:34 here on a Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the post-game show. Jay Phillips with you in downtown's Herndon Chevy Studios. Elijah's up in Greenville. He'll be back with us in just a little bit. Always a pleasure to talk to the coach, Stuart Lake. He will be on the call tonight with either Cade or Derek. I don't know if Derek's going to pull one of those all-night drives, Stuart. Who you got next to you this evening in the booth?
I got Cade today and tomorrow,
Okay.
and then I think Derek's back in there with us on Sunday.
Okay, yeah, I figured Cade tomorrow because that would be interesting for Derek to be able to do two things at once, basically. But
yeah, that would have been.
But I've known you do too. Sometimes he's done that overnight drive, man. He doesn't mind doing it, but maybe Knoxville's a little too far for that. Regardless, final weekend series, a big homestand starting up for Carolina. Oklahoma will be here next week to open conference play. Obviously, I haven't spoken with you since last weekend, which was just bad for South Carolina. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but they've snapped back with a couple of good wins this week against Davidson and the Citadel. But let me go back to the Clemson series, with what maybe Coach wants to look at in terms of pitching and some other things this weekend in a series rather than the one-offs that are midweek games. Obviously, always things to work on, Stuart, in all seriousness. But how much of a wake-up call was the sweep by the Tigers?
Well, I'm not really sure wake-up call be the term. I think what we always use, and I told Coach Manier this before that weekend, we just always really knew this one gave us an idea of what we got to work on. And the big thing that you got to work on coming out of that, well, one, offensively, and I think they have. I've seen some really good things this week with it of just trying to get some guys a little more aggressive. But also we gave up 10 runs in the last 3 innings of 2 games. That was the part that gets you the most. And I think that's going to be the big thing moving forward is trying to figure out that back end of the bullpen because you're getting great starts. Got another great start down at Citadel the other night. So that part will be, and then offensively, he just hadn't been able to write the same lineup with injuries and some guys that haven't played well. So I know he would love to better write the same lineup for a weekend for a 3-game series, so we'll see if he gets to do that this weekend. Yeah,
let's talk about Beau Hollins real quick and what that's doing to the lineup, really on both sides, offensively and defensively, because I remember having a conversation with you beforehand about Ethan at first base, not that he's good or bad at it, but trying to put him there and that maybe there's a little bit of his future in those decisions, but the present is more important right now. So let's start with Beau, blend what Ethan is doing into that conversation.
Well, I really enjoy watching Beau at first, and I haven't talked to Ethan about it. I think Ethan has already honestly proven to pro scouts. Last weekend, there were 6 scouting directors that were either at Clemson or Greenville in those 2 days, and they were there because of Ethan and Caminetti and those guys to see. So Canarello, excuse me. But I think he's proven he can do first. I do think that I like our offense when he's in right field, our team, and Beau's at first. So I'm curious to see this weekend how Coach does it. I know with looking at the arms, and it doesn't really matter with Beau Hollins because he can switch it either way. So I think they go right, left, right. Moorhead does this weekend. But I had joked with you early in the year. I liked Ethan out in right field because I wanted him to be out there taking some dry swings and thinking about the hitting because I just love him as a hitter, hitting 420. And then you go down the thing, Beau Hollins hitting 438. Yeah. So, I mean, they're 2 guys that certainly, I think, change the way we feel about this offense when they're both in the lineup.
Yeah, and Beau's sample size obviously smaller, but certainly starting to show it. But Ethan, with an OPS right now of over 1350. Coach, that's not going to stay the same, obviously, but it just goes to show so many things about what he can do to lead this ball club from an offensive standpoint.
Well, what's impressed me too is I coached a kid out of Ole Miss, Seth Smith. Seth went on to be a second rounder. Seth played for the Rockies, had an 11-year big league career, but his junior year at this point before we started SEC, he was hitting 260. And I remember this so vividly because he had hit a panic button. And he was so worried because he knew what the conference would be like. If I'm hitting 260 now, what in the world am I going to do? I'm going to drop out. And he was so into his draft. Thank goodness we got him going, and we worked our way through that. And that's a story for another day because Coach Tanner helped me on that one. We completely got with the scoreboard operator and started a whole new season for him as conference play to get his confidence back. Ethan has just handled this so well. He's come out and just been I keep saying on the radio, an unselfish hitter. He's hitting balls to right center. He's not trying to be pull happy. He's not trying to chase Justin Smoke's home run record. He's just been a really complete hitter. And as you said, the OPS, I mean, it's incredible, some of the numbers. It still jumps out to me. he's only struck out 8 times. He's walked 8 and been hit 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just numbers that really jump out to me. That's why he's going to be such a good player for us this year, and I think he could be really a long-time pro player.
Let me ask you about KJ Scobie, who is having a solid season. I mean, the OPS, you want to see that come up a little bit, but it's approaching now 800, which in college is good. You might want to see it a little bit higher. But, and what he's being asked to do over there for a kid his age, take us through what you see from him and I don't want to say pressure, but, what's there in terms of making sure that he understands where those fixes need to come.
Yeah. Well, KJ Scobie did something the other night. Drew Meyer was sitting in the radio booth with us, and he hit a ball to center field that I think is the best ball I've seen him hit this spring. And I've been a fan of him the whole time. And I think he's starting to realize, and if you've ever really heard Chipper Jones talk so much, drive the ball in the middle of the field, hit the ball in the middle of the field, I think he's really starting to understand what that means. Mm-hmm. And he drove the ball there. It's hard to play third in this league. I mentioned the different places. I had Chris Coughlin at Ole Miss, who turned out to be a great major league player, Jonah Bride, who's now in the major league. They would talk to me about how mentally had to separate third base from hitting. About every other position, you can take the at-bat out with you, and you can kind of still be mad at yourself, and you can maybe be doing a little dry swing. Not at third base and not in the SEC third base. It is you're just drained at the end of the game as a third baseman, basically like a catcher in this league. So to see him handling that, I've been impressed, and I hope that this is a weekend to springboard him into SEC play next weekend.
Talking to Stuart Lake, Carolina and Morehead State, the first of 3 tonight at 7. We'll have it for you, and here all weekend long is Morehead, and conference play beginning a week from tonight with Oklahoma coming to town. There is a game in between. You mentioned, let me go to pitching now. You mentioned the back end, and Sweeney had a nice start in the non-con maybe until last weekend, and that ERA obviously jumped up a little bit, still sitting on 3 saves. Take us through what you're hearing, learning, seeing about how many changes Coach Maneri and Coach Rooney might want to make when it comes to the back end of the bullpen, or is this not the time to worry too much about the guys they have?
Well, I thought we might see a little bit of a change this weekend, and when it came out, we did. And I haven't talked to him at all about it with the pitching. I probably, nagged Monty the most because of the hitting, but I thought we might have saw McCoy bump up this week because Coach talked about it so much. Matthew Becker I kind of thought maybe they start bridging him into that bullpen guy because you could bring a Matthew Becker in the 6th inning, he could close the game, kind of like Clemson was doing last weekend with their guys. But they're staying with it, which means you got a heck of a starter on Sundays. If we're going to have Dylan Eskew on Sundays, we got a chance to win some games there. But I think the guy that just really emerged last week is Brandon Stone. I don't know if he moves into eventually being the closer. No offense to any of the other guys, but the guy that impressed me the most on the mound last week is just the way Stone came into that game at Clemson. I know he didn't get anything to show for it, but he is a guy. And I was joking on the radio the other day. I call him the Eclipse because when he stands beside you, it's like there's darkness. This guy's a 6'6", 240-pound guy. He comes beside me in the weight room, and I'm ready to leave. So I love that kind of – and he come out, and someone asked me, why did you think he pitched? He was breathing just so calm. That Clemson series, you can really – Coach Tanner used to tell me, you're going to figure out makeup this weekend. Because certain guys became stars in that game, and other guys, you kind of see them not. I don't know if this spotlight might be a little much for me. I thought that dude was fantastic. I don't know what his eventual role will be in this bullpen, but I know right now I feel good when he runs in there. So we'll kind of see. I think we're going to see some different things with the bullpen this weekend for sure.
Good stuff as always, sir. Have a great call this weekend with both the play-by-play guys with you. That's our good friend Stuart Lake. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks as always.
Thanks so much. Yep. Bye-bye.
That's the coach. Again, Stuart_Lake to follow along on Twitter if you're not already. Elijah will rejoin us from Greenville and the Bon Secours Wellness Arena Center, pickleball, water aerobics, Bon Jovi, and the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament all going on. If you know, you know. We'll be back.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game and available the Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
This is Andrew Bogish with a Sports Minute. Luka and LeBron are the only teammates ever to combine for 500 points, 175 rebounds, 125 assists, 53s, 25 steals, and 15 blocks in a 10-game span. And they did it in their first 10 games together. The Lakers are now 9-2 with Doncic. Is it time for the West to truly worry? I'm Andrew Bogish.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No. We tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes. Our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first. Because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Injured in a car wreck? Need your check? It's easy. Dial 1-800-ALL-7s now.
The Anastapula Law Firm has been recovering millions for their clients for over 30 years. Whether it's a slip and fall, car accident, or any other issues that have resulted from an accident, Anastapula Law Firm can help. Their South Carolina personal injury attorneys have experience fighting for the rights of their clients. Remember, don't scream. Call Akeem. Dial 800-ALL-7s now.
Herb Glass is responsible for this ad, and cases are handled at 32 Ann Street, Charleston, South Carolina, 29403. Paid endorsement, not actually client. Results may vary.
In the U.S., more than 39 million men suffer from erectile dysfunction. Boston Scientific created edcure.com to help you find your best cure. To get started, go to edcure.com, take a quiz, and learn your severity or risk of ED. The fastest way to find your best cure is to contact an ED specialist by browsing a list of experienced physicians in your area. edcure.com. You're not alone. edcure.com is brought to you by Boston Scientific.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like you know to check your sunroof is closed first before driving through the car wash.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no. Wait, whoa.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
A special post-game show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Lexington Discount Homes. Experience matters. Check out Lexington Discount Homes on Augusta Highway in Lexington.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back. Post-game show. Jay and Elijah back with you here. Captain David, Master Control.
Well.
Yeah. How's it going? Good to talk to you. I mean, I leave and then you leave, but you're not on vacation.
No. Not on vacation. No, not.
But you're in downtown
today.
Greenville. I mean, it feels like vacation, right?
Lovely spot, lovely place to hang out for a little bit. So, I mean, if I'm not going to be on vacation and I'm going to be away from the studio, getting to be at a basketball tournament, it's like the closest thing.
Where have you found the water aerobics room at the Bon Secours Wellness Center Arena best facility?
I'm actually in the water aerobics pool right now. That's why you hear me dropping my mic. And by that I mean I have a weird thing with my headset going on right now. But I'm actually there right now. And once Kentucky Oklahoma ends, that's when the pickleball tournament begins. And I'm registered right after 6, so I will hop in there. I'll be doing singles. Don't have a doubles partner, so I'm in the singles tournament. And we'll see how long I survive here in this arena.
I need to do this so that people know, and they're like, because I said it going into the break, if you know, you know. But years ago, I don't know how many years ago now, whenever the building that Elijah is in and this tournament is in, many of you know, it used to be called the Bilo Center in downtown Greenville. It's a nice arena. It's a little smaller than CLA, but it's a good location, good facility, lots of events. And I don't live in Greenville, so I didn't know that there had been a name change. But here in Columbia, on our station one day, they ran a commercial for Bon Jovi, and it said, and Bon Jovi was coming to, and it said, Bon Jovi at the Bon Secours Wellness Center. And I'm like, what? I looked at Haney, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And he's like, oh, that's the new Bilo Center. But it just, in my head, I'm thinking, is this some kind of recreational facility in Greenville? I don't know what this is. And so now Elijah and I have been joking, at Bon Secours, Friday night, it's pickleball and bingo. Saturday, Bon Jovi. Sunday, water aerobics at Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
Next week, the SEC women's tournament.
Yeah, and that's just that kind of thing. So we've had some fun with that. But I did not know, that there had been a name change. And so it's probably funnier to me than it is to some of you. But at the time, I got a real kick out of it in my head.
It's a good gag of the show, a nice running bit.
Not a good gag in the third quarter, but everything else was fine today for Dawn Staley's team. I know we'll get into a lot more of that, but I know Terry about an hour ago asked you that. I feel like Vandy didn't necessarily see some kind of chink in the armor that they went after as much as maybe other than say, Carolina just kind of coming out all right, we're good. And then all of a sudden, Elijah, 25-point lead turned to a 5-point lead.
Yeah, there was just too many careless turnovers at certain parts of the game. I mean, Carolina as a team had 15 turnovers, and 8 of those came in the second half. A good chunk of those came in the second half, and that's really what Vanderbilt kind of feasted on. And it wasn't like they were forcing some of those turnovers. Some of them were just sloppy. I know Mylasia dribbled one off her foot at one point. I know Joyce caught an inbounds pass and thought that she saw a teammate coming up the three-point line and ended up throwing it out of bounds. A lot of it was just more like careless errors. They committed some careless errors, and Vanderbilt's a good enough team to where if you give them an inch, they can take a mile. Michaela Blake came alive in the second half, and it looked like she was about to maybe take over the game a little bit, and that's what maybe cut it to 5. And that, along with how Vanderbilt played defense in this game, I mean, I thought if you're going to be a team that has Vanderbilt's lack of size, right? They don't have a very deep post room over there in Nashville. If you're going to be a team constructed like that, the best way to play South Carolina is by sending 2 to the ball, blitzing ball screens, and making sure that if South Carolina is going to entry pass into the post, they're going to make life hard on them entry passing into the post, right? So whenever it came, you saw Chloe getting her buckets late. They came off of offensive rebounds, and they came from ball screens. They were calling ball screens for Chloe to be the ball handler, and I think that really was a good way to be able to get that offense going late in the game whenever Vanderbilt just started being really aggressive on the defensive side of the ball.
We'll have more from Elijah from Greenville coming up just a little bit at the top of the hour. And again, Congressman Russell Fry of South Carolina's 7th District is going to join us bottom of the hour. He is on one of the committees that will be looking at some NIL legislation. He has a bill that is co-sponsored with others, hoping to get something done at the congressional level to at least ease the what's the word I want to use? Ease the congestion of state laws, perhaps. Is that a good way to put it? We'll talk to Russell about that coming up in just a bit. I don't want you to be mad at me. I didn't bring you back any souvenirs from New York, but here's why. Because I need you to get to New York and get your own souvenirs. Not because I want you to pay for them,
yes,
but because you need to go to New York City. So this is now, it's really more incentive. for you to get
incentive for me to
NYC.
Do that.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list thing. I've always wanted to go to NYC. It is a bucket list item to go see a basketball game at the Garden. I want to do that before I die.
Well, here's the funny thing. So in all seriousness, real quick, Tuesday night, we went to Hamilton, and the tickets are, anyway. But you know who was at the Garden Tuesday night? The Dubs.
Bon Jovi.
The Dubs. Yeah, and I said to my wife, which one was more expensive, Hamilton or Dubs Knicks? Hour 2 coming up.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive. Currently car shopping? State Credit Union now has auto loan rates as low as 4.25% APR. Plus, you'll have no car payment for up to 90 days. Visit one of State Credit Union's 19 full-service branches or their website, SCSCU.com. That's SCSCU.com and apply online for your new car loan today. That's SCSCU.com. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit LawyerLisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Have you ever had issues with your Wi-Fi? You're not alone. Most people have. Many times, issues with Wi-Fi are caused by an old router and modem or an aging Wi-Fi network not up to today's demanding standards. Let Integrated Media be your Wi-Fi experts and come out and test your Wi-Fi during a free in-home consultation. They'll inspect your current hardware, run speed tests at different locations inside and outside the home, and can even advise you on your current service provider to see if you're up to date and make sure you're not overpaying each month. Is it time to make the jump to fiber internet? Integrated Media can recommend, sell, and install the Wi-Fi equipment needed to update your home and even guide you to the best service provider available in your area. Give them a call today to get your Wi-Fi up to speed. 803-948-8327. And for those of you on the outskirts of the Midlands with no internet service provider available, ask Integrated Media about Starlink as an option for your home today. That's 803-948-8327 for Integrated Media.
Looking for a tow that won't drive you insane? Schroeder's Towing has got your back and then some. With almost 1,500 Google reviews and a near 5-star rating, Schroeder's Towing is practically the most respected hookers in town. Whether you're stuck on the side of the road or just need a lift, our reliable service is always ready to roll. Call Schroeder's Towing today.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus Media Station. A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC Tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law, Lexington Discount Homes, and Winland Foods.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Here on a Friday afternoon. I almost said Monday because it's my first day back at work. Welcome back into the post-game show alongside Elijah Campbell, at least in digital spirit. I'm Jay Phillips.
Connected by a radio.
That's
signal.
right. Captain Dave is at Master Control with us today. Elijah is no longer courtside, but he is now, I guess, your concourse side at
You could say that.
Is that fair?
Yeah, concourse side. I am chilling in the concourses of Boncourt. I almost call
Bon
it
Jovi
Bon
Wellness Arena.
Yeah, Bon Jovi Wellness Arena, right outside section 100 and 101. So if you are listening on the app or whatever and want to come say what's up, then you know where I am. I'm an easy target. I stick out like a sore thumb. I'm the only person sitting here with radio equipment right now.
Nice. Well, that's good. Are you getting gawked at like you're an animal at the zoo?
Sometimes, yeah. Whenever you can tell, whenever there's like a break in the action for the Kentucky-Oklahoma game currently happening behind me right now, and a lot of people start walking in the concourse, I do feel like I'm a fish in a fishbowl because people will like stop and kind of stare for a second as if they've never seen radio equipment before. I don't bite, I'm a human too.
Well, they don't know that. They don't. That you bite. Or don't bite.
That I bite.
Right.
Yeah. I could be lying to you. Maybe I do. Maybe I do have that trick in my bag.
I mean,
maybe that is a little bit in my arsenal.
Wouldn't someone that bites tell people they don't?
Did Mike Tyson ever tell anybody he did? Before he did?
Yeah, I don't think he did. That's just it. I think that was a complete surprise. Right? Like, I don't bite. You just don't say anything at that point.
Yeah, like if you're a biter, yeah, you keep that to yourself until it comes time to use that sneak attack. Then it becomes effective. Right, like I'm not going to tell the defense what I've got game planned.
Carolina awaiting the winner of the Oklahoma-Kentucky game, which is a very good game right now. Ole Miss and Texas tonight at 6, Florida LSU in the nightcap, but Carolina safely on to the semifinals as they look for another SEC Women's Tournament Championship. I do want to say, before we move on, I know South Carolina won the coin toss on Sunday afternoon. By then, I was in New York, and I think the only thing I tweeted was something from Alan, our buddy Alan Cole of Gamecock Scoop, that you guys, I guess, could hear the cheer from the locker room because you were waiting for Dawn and the players they didn't want to do their post game until they I guess had some more answers to certain questions, including how they were going to be seated. But I think I told you, Elijah, the next day we were getting ready to go out to dinner, and I had PTI on in the hotel room, and I saw Mike and Tony. And the question from Tony, or from Mike to Tony, was like, "What's more lame?" Or somebody. But anyway, it was the coin toss, or like Texas not being the number one seed. And he's like, they're number one in the country, but they're not number one. And there was certainly an understanding of what Carolina and Texas had done. But then Tony Kornheiser, and I'll paraphrase, just went immediately into, but in the NFL, it's like item number 10 that you get to have a coin flip. Not number 3. And I'm just, I still look. We said it was lame before it happened. And look, around here locally, sure. Am I glad Carolina won a coin toss for this thing? Yeah, I am. But it doesn't make it any less lame. It's a ridiculous. Listen, if it ultimately has to get to that, fine. But it should in no way, shape, or form be the third line item. And if you're wondering what they are, it's head-to-head. That's number 1, obviously. They split. And then item number 2 was how'd you do, basically, just make it simple, how'd you do against everybody else? Well, they didn't lose to anybody else. They only lost once to each other. and you and I talked about aggregate scoring or even like average points. But you could do margin of victory per conference game. There's a whole host of statistical things that any conference could use, any entity could use, Elijah. Before having
they do it all the time.
Yeah, before having the coin flip be the third thing. So I'm just wondering, and maybe you'll have time this weekend, have you heard any chatter? Have you heard any discussion with the SEC folks who've been in town all week about a recognition of just how lame that was, and B, if they're going to do anything about it?
None. I've heard none, honestly, but I know that's something that's going to have to happen, and I know that because Vic Schaefer and Dawn Staley have both been very vocal about just how bizarre it was, and the national reaction too. I don't think anyone that's talked about this coin toss has been like, man, that was awesome television. We should have every 1 seed tiebreaker decided by that. I think the PR nightmare is bad enough for the conference to make sure that they don't embarrass themselves again by having to do something that's as important as being a 1 seed in this conference. Because look,
right.
Let's just assume Flau'jae Johnson is playing for LSU, right? And she isn't being rested to, alleviate the pain of some shin inflammation. Say she's playing. LSU's a really good team.
Yep.
I would much rather avoid LSU and play one of Kentucky or Oklahoma to get into the championship game. I would much rather play the earlier game on Saturday to have a little bit more rest going into the game on Sunday when you're playing your third game in 3 days. Those advantages do really exist, right? In terms of better matchups, more rest. Like, there is a quantifiable advantage to being a 1 seed in this thing. And for it to be decided by a coin flip, and for people like Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon to talk about it, that's going to change. And I think Dawn said something important too. Whenever she commented on it, she alluded to the fact that the football tiebreaker has 36 pages. It's a 36-page PDF that was sent to us for the season to determine how every single tiebreaker imaginable would be broken. Why is it that football has a 36-page PDF doc as to how we're going to break this tie before we resort to flipping a coin, but for every other sport, a coin toss is like the third item? Yeah, right.
It's lame.
It reeks of laziness.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. It absolutely does. And I've heard. I guess before they flipped it, you and I were talking. Maybe we haven't used it in forever. And so it just kind of, was not even put on the back burner. It was pickled and jarred and taken down to your grandma's cellar. And they were like, hey, can you all go get a jar of those pickles for me? How old are they? I don't know, but we need one. Oh God, these aren't any good anymore. I mean, it was something like that. You just
I know
can't.
It smelled crazy in there.
Yeah, right. And you just can't do that. But there's so many statistical things, and I think part of it, you and I were talking about this. This is one of the reasons, that goal differential matters in soccer. And that's why you might see teams if it's already say 4-1 late. Why are they still trying to score? Because goal differential may matter one day, and I'm not saying that's what they got to do. And it may or may not benefit South Carolina. I can't sit here and be a sole cheerleader for South Carolina in this. Like I said, am I glad Carolina won? Sure. Okay, I am. But win or lose, the process is terrible, and they need to make an adjustment. And Dawn is 100% right. And some of the things, because I remember when you and I were going over the football tiebreaker when it was finally released so late. Remember, it was if I'm not mistaken, we had gone through the week 0 games because there were no conference games that week. I guess there was not a conference game until week 2, so technically the third week of the season. And the SEC took that long to announce the tiebreaker scenarios. And I mean this in the nicest possible way. Some of it looked like it was written, by PhD math students at Vandy or something, man. And I got nothing against PhD math students, I assure you. We need all the smart people that can write computer code and all that kind of stuff. I'm here for it.
Some of it reeked of law jargon, man. I almost had to
and those people too
at
Vandy.
Can you translate this for me?
Right. So but Dawn is right. Why do we need to worry so much about that for football and not everything else? I mean, you can just go ahead and flip a coin and just start flipping coins. Right? I tell you what, all right, let's do an elimination round. of coin flipping. Right, loser is out, winner stays in, and then we'll go to the next round. No, that's not. You need to find ways as best you possibly can to do, especially over a 16-game schedule or in a football season. There are statistics that can be used. So I don't want to dwell too much. It's already happened, but I hope the powers that be in Birmingham understand that. So there's your only homework assignment for the weekend. Start digging around and just asking, like, y'all do realize how lame this was. What are you going to do about it?
I just be like, hey, you guys know that you decided the number 1 seed in this entire tournament the way I decide if I want Mexican food or hibachi for dinner.
Yes.
Like, congratulations. Yeah. Yes. I think we're not so different after all, guys.
Yes.
We may not be so different after all.
Yeah, it's just kind of anyway, I don't like it. And I hope that they'll do something about it. But you never know. You never know. And another thing, too, you were telling me, because I didn't see it, believe it or not, they don't get SEC Network in New York City. And I didn't have time to watch it on my phone or anything. But
Syracuse to the SEC. Come on down.
I know, right? That there was a countdown. Like, they didn't even do it. They like basically strung it out during halftime on Sunday on television. Is that accurate?
Oh, they did. Yes. You should have heard the collective groans that happened in the media room at Colonial Life Arena whenever Ole Miss and LSU went to halftime, and we're all sitting there because we're waiting on Dawn, and a lot of us are having to run over to the baseball field after, and baseball field credential office or like the ticket office closes at like the 5th inning, so we're already like in the 2nd inning of it or whatever, and by that point we see the countdown clock in the top right hand corner that reads 8 minutes, so the collective groan for everybody in there was like, come on, like, get this over with. And they kept recycling how we got here. All right, how do we get to this coin toss? With all due respect, SEC Network, I think if you're watching this right now, I think we all know how we got to that coin toss scenario.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to rehash it again.
Come back with more on the game.
We're icing Greg at that point. We're icing the flipper.
Well, again, anyway, I'm going to say it one more time. Lame process needs to be fixed. Typically, you may not need it. I get it. But when you do, and it's this important, you can't have it like that. I don't know how they came up with that to begin with, but again, like you said, maybe
heavens,
laziness. All right, we'll come back on the other side. More from Elijah's perspective on this ball game, what he heard in postgame from players and coaches, and again, coming up inside of 20 minutes, South Carolina Congressman Russell Fry, who introduced Shane Beamer this week at an NIL hearing in Washington. He's got legislation that is at least in discussion. How different is this one? How much closer might we be towards some type of federal, at least, assistance in order to get rid of the glut of state laws that basically overrule anything the NCAA wants to do? Russell will be discussing that with us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Lots more to do on this busy Friday postgame show.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. 107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Sponsored by Metz Plumbing.
844-732-DRIP. If you got a problem, it just won't quit. And you need a plumber, Metz Plumbing, MetzPlumbing.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, where the inventory's overflowing and the deals are in full bloom. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Tired of the endless wait for a tee time at your club? Discover the best kept secret in the Midlands and experience a country club like no other. Orangeburg Country Club. Immerse yourself in a lifestyle that combines readily available tee times with exceptional social and dining experiences. Weekdays or weekends, they've got your golf game covered with pristine conditions and fast greens. Ready to elevate your leisure time? Contact the club at info@orangeburgcc.com or call 803-534-5988. Join us and swing into the good life.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today. Fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text, you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done, no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Enjoy up to 70% off premium products, designer handbags, gift cards from national chains, autographed sports memorabilia, cruises, hotel accommodations, and more. SweetDeals.com. Click Premium.
Offers not in conjunction plus tax and title. Call 888-214-1167 for details. It's the grand opening of our brand new JT's Kia on Greystone Boulevard. And we're giving away $10,000 in cash. Just come in and register at either JT's Kia location. JT makes it easy. No payments for 6 months. Get up to 20% more for your trade and you could win $10,000. Our grand opening celebration is going on now at JT's Kia. Killian Road at I-77 or the all-new JT's Kia Greystone.
It's time to prepare for summer, and your HVAC system is on the fritz. The last thing you need is an unexpected repair bill, and AAA Heating and Air has got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check. That's right, no need to worry about your credit score. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you're good to go. So do what I did and call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Special post-game show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law. Remember, who you hire matters. Go to hollyatkinslaw.com.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
18 minutes after 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you as the post-game show. 2 spots today. Yours truly back after a few days in New York City. Back in downtown Columbia. Elijah is in downtown Greenville at the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament where, with 4 seconds left, Oklahoma is about to beat Kentucky. 60, let's see, you're probably a little bit ahead of me because you're live.
69?
Yeah, I've got 68, 62. Nice. So you're a few seconds ahead of us. That's the way technology works.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. My stream's ahead of your stream.
Hey, this is a family show, sir. 69. Oh no, Kentucky. That counts, but it won't.
Oh.
So I've got a.
Yeah,
60.
I definitely took a peek earlier, right before we got back from break. I was taking a peek out and watching the game.
I've got a 69-65 final score. Oklahoma eliminates Kentucky. This is a 5-seed Oklahoma beating 4-seed Kentucky. These teams came in with identical conference marks at 11 and 5. They're both headed to the NCAA tournament. Yes.
Oh, certainly, yes, with very high seeding as well. These are two teams that are in the top 20 of the net with a healthy dose of quad one wins. But what this result is the best result for South Carolina, because now Oklahoma will be playing game 3 in 3 days. Oklahoma plays very up-tempo. To give you an idea of how many possessions Oklahoma is able to get each game, they're averaging about 80 possessions a game. That's first in Division I. On the men's side, the number 1 team in pace in college basketball is Alabama at 75. So imagine picture how fast Alabama's men's team plays.
Yeah.
And then imagine that Oklahoma generates 5 more possessions a game.
Wow,
it's spectacular. So if the math works out here, 2 games in 2 days is 160 possessions. Towards the end of the game, let's assume we keep that same pace. They'll be playing 240 possessions in 3 days. That's a lot. If you're South Carolina, you want the more tired team, because Oklahoma will definitely be the more tired team. A team less likely to win that war of attrition in the third and fourth quarters like you were able to today.
South Carolina beat this Sooners club by 41 points earlier this season. I guess around the midway point, give or take. Let's see. A little bit earlier than that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th game of the conference slate. 101-60. I guess the question would be, we know what South Carolina's done. Would you say there's been I know you're not following Oklahoma closely, sir, but they're a pretty good ball club. So they were 13th at the time when they came to Columbia. Are we expecting South Carolina to be able to trade blows, or is this an Oklahoma team that may feel a lot more confident about its chances, especially with the game not being in Columbia?
Oh, they're going to feel better about it not being in Columbia, but they shouldn't be kidding themselves. This is going to be a home game for South Carolina. That was one of the things that I kind of laughed about with Joyce Edwards after the game, was asking, like, it's your first time playing here in Greenville in this event. How much does this still resemble a home game for you? And she laughed and said, you're only an hour and a half down the road. It was loud. It absolutely felt like we were playing at Colonial Life Arena. The only difference is the physical building itself. So if Oklahoma thinks, okay, the crowd advantage won't be the same, false. It will be every bit as the same. It gets every bit as loud in there for whenever the Gamecocks score a bucket, as it does at CLA. The big thing here for Oklahoma is you're going to have to make threes in transition. Like, that's going to be their key to winning this game. If they want to keep it close with Carolina, they can't shoot the way they did. I mean, they were able to beat Kentucky today, and I tip my cap to them, because that's a tough team to beat on a neutral floor, and they did so while shooting 30% from the field. Jay Phillips, Oklahoma shot 30% from the field and won. They were 22% from 3 and won. The big thing is they forced 20 turnovers from Kentucky.
Yeah.
You can't bank on doing that to a South Carolina team that is as deep as they are. And yes, South Carolina shot themselves in the foot with a few turnovers today, but you can't bank on that happening to be able to beat a team like South Carolina.
All right, so
Oklahoma, you got to shoot better.
Since they played the Gamecocks, the game they were 3-3 after that game in conference play. They beat Georgia to go to 4-3. Then they lost back-to-back games. They lost at LSU by 7, and they lost at home to Kentucky by 9.
A game in which Georgia Amore had 43 in that game.
So they were 4-5 at that point. After, again, they just played Kentucky. They've won 9 straight. So they're going to feel pretty good about themselves tomorrow, regardless.
Absolutely. They're a hot team right now. You don't go 11-5 in this conference on accident. And if we count the 2 tournament wins they've had, they've won 13 of the 18 ball games they've played in the SEC. Bad teams don't do that,
right.
And you don't do that on accident. And they have a very specific style of play that makes them really hard to have to play against. And they have maybe not the same depth as the South Carolina, but their top-end talent's really good. Like Reagan Beers was an All-American at Oregon State, and she's a bucket. She had a really solid day today. I believe she had about 17 points this afternoon. Peyton Verlust was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. She can absolutely light it up from beyond the arc. Like, there is some star power with that team, too. Like, they came into the SEC being ready for the SEC, and I think they proved it in a game like this after playing a game yesterday, right? Kentucky was the more rested team. Didn't matter. They were the better team today, and they forced 20 Kentucky turnovers.
Chloe Kitts had a big day today. She had 25 points. The joke, and I saw Alan tweet this out. I think you guys Maybe not. We're not at the podium, but apparently she accidentally gave away a play call that is used for her, and Dawn kind of half-jokingly called her out on it, Elijah.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, we were in the locker room after the game for the locker room availability, so I need to go back and find that. But I know without even having to know what it was called, I could probably guess what it was called, because my favorite thing about these games is you sit close enough to the benches, you can hear the play calls.
Yeah.
I think I know which one she's alluding to, where they basically called for Chloe to be the primary ball handler in a ball screen, and it got her an easy bucket late in that game and helped push it, I believe, to like a 9-point lead at that point in time. But that was right when she was, getting cooking and starting to get to the basket a little bit more. But that's pretty funny. Yeah, don't give out the plays.
There's a transcript that Alan sent out. Again, our buddy Alan Cole. Question: Chloe, talk about the fourth quarter performance. Seemed like you were able to take over the game. Chloe's response: I was just going out there and playing confident. My coaches and the point guard kept saying 14. Which is kind of
14.
Get the ball to me. I just delivered. I was just going out there. Then Dawn sit next to her. Thanks. Chloe, what? Dawn, you just told him our play. Chloe, sorry.
Remarkable. Yep. I was thinking in my head, 14. A 1-4 ball screen. That right. Is, which, again, in Chloe's defense, everybody in college basketball has a, plays called where if you just want to call a simple ball screen, call the position, the numerical position of two teams and have them, or two players and have them screen each other's. But at the same time, Dawn wasn't a fan of that. I could see how.
I know Lulu Kessen's going to join us coming up in just a bit. I saw a funny tweet from her. She's, I guess, disappointed that one of her favorite hockey players was traded today at the NHL deadline. So
the Bruins were sellers today, man.
Yeah.
They were not buyers at the deadline.
It's
they
never
traded
fun.
some
big-time
players.
Yeah, never fun when your team's a seller on trade deadline day. I know that much. But real quick, Elijah, before we get to Congressman Fry, that final, say, 3 minutes today, best stretch you might have seen South Carolina play with a fire lit under them?
A little bit. I thought they were better in that stretch where they went on that 37-10 run at the very end of the first quarter and towards the second. I thought when they built that 20-plus point lead from that run, that was where they looked their absolute best, because they're getting steals, they're getting out in transition. They were actually able to get the ball inside. Now Vanderbilt, with the way they played them defensively and jumping two defenders out after ball screens, was hard for the first maybe 10 possessions of the game. But once Maddie McDaniel, Malaysia got in there, I feel like they were maybe more comfortable handling those type of coverages, and they were able to, combat that and get into some 3-on-2 situations. You saw a couple times, where Maddie would take the screen, thread the needle between two defenders. Ball got to Joyce at one point. It was basically a 3-on-2 within 6 feet of the basket, and you're not guarding that, right? And they were able to make a couple of really good passes. So the combination of the ball movement in the first half, along with the urgency without being too hurried offensively, and then also doing what they do on defense, which is get steals, get out in the break, in transition, fire away. That was the best I think I've seen them all year. But it was nice to see them, though, whenever the moment calls for somebody to step up and take over offensively, that they could find the best scoring option and stick with her for the entire quarter.
Lots more on Carolina's win today. Again, you now know tomorrow's opponent. It'll be Oklahoma. Elijah will have a little bit of a breakdown of Carolina's trip to Tennessee tomorrow to close out the SEC men's regular season. We got plenty more to do. But on the other side of the break, South Carolina Congressman Russell Fry. He introduced and spoke with Shane Beamer this week. Shane giving testimony at an NIL hearing in Washington. Are we any closer to actual assistance from Congress? We'll talk to Russell about the bill that he has put forth and see where it goes next. You're listening to the postgame show.
107.5 The Game in Columbia.
100.5 The Game in Florence. And 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
They're here. You can see them. Weeds. Hi, this is Paul Romenstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns. It's not too late to get the beautiful lawn that you want. Sign up for our Midlands Green Treatment Program today and let our experts help you with fertilization, weed control, and everything it takes to get you a green, lush lawn. Are you ready? Give us a try at hateweeds.com. hateweeds.com.
Sports Trophies is here to meet all of your award and recognition needs. Don't let the name fool you. They are much more than just sports awards. They can provide you with everything from trophies, plaques, crystal awards, acrylic awards, name badges, and that's just for starters. They provide awards and recognition for schools, universities, churches, associations, corporations, small business, and of course, anything sports related. Call 803-798-8686 or email to sportstrophies@gmail.com. And go Gamecocks!
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the ultimate lunch lineup boasts wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. And now, WIS TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
And from the WIS TV Traffic Center, a couple of bang-ups for you this afternoon. 26 westbound Airport Boulevard, also 378 near I-26. Lee Park Road at Augusta Road, Colonial Life Boulevard at I-126. Ashland Road at St. Andrews Road and Forum Drive near Town Center Place. This is Captain Dave, WIS TV Traffic Center.
Post-game show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC Tournament.
Sponsored by Winland Foods. Looking for a great job with a winning team? Apply at winlandfoods.com/careers.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Welcome back in. 33 minutes after 4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Jay Phillips inside the Herndon Chevy Studios, downtown Columbia. We'll rejoin Elijah from Greenville in the SEC Women's Tournament coming up in just a bit. But right now, as promised, we welcome on to the program South Carolina's Congressman from the 7th District. He is Russell Fry. Appreciate his time today as he helps navigate an NIL bill through Congress, one of many. Congressman, good to have you, sir. How are you?
Jay, thanks for having me, and happy Friday, FRY Day. So it's good to be here. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm full of dad jokes, so we'll be here all
right, we can do it. That's we get a lot of those in ourselves, sir. I know Shane was up there with you earlier this week, and I'll just start you because we're going to have limited time. You know, I've read a lot of what is in the bill that you proposed last year, and my biggest concern, Russell, in all seriousness, is I realize right now, and I'm not going to sit here and talk politics per se, but this is certainly politics, that there's not a lot of folks that want to get along with one another right now on either side of the aisle, but this seems to be one that could maybe be the outlier, at least the subject matter when it comes to NIL. There's sports fans that are liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. How hopeful are you that your bill might have more of a bipartisan effect than some of what we see these days?
I think there's a good possibility, Jay. And when you look at the issue, you're exactly right. This impacts liberal Americans, conservative Americans, people who appreciate college sports and athletics. The bill that we filed last year was one component of kind of a broader discussion of what we're trying to do this year. But we had support from certainly schools like USC, Coastal Carolina, but we had historically black colleges with us. We had player associations that were supportive of it. And, of course, these schools are in a lot of members' districts, right? Like every member of Congress has universities and colleges that are there, and they're all the athletic departments and all of the the universities are saying the same thing, that if we are sued every day, every time we make a move, a rule, try to figure out this new landscape, if we're sued all the time, then we're going to have to make some budgetary choices, and that's going to impact sports, right? I mean, so, the footballs and the basketballs will continue because they're the revenue generators. But then you start talking about Title IX sports, you start talking about sports that are maybe have less of a fan base, wrestling, equestrian, things like that, right, that they're absolutely going to cut. And that hurts, ultimately, that hurts the Olympic sports, that hurts the universities. And so, for us, at least this year, there's a couple components that I think should be in a bill and should be actually bipartisan, that being one of them. The liability safe harbor that we just talked about, that should be in there, but there's a few other things that should be included.
I don't have to tell you as an attorney that when you get beat 9-0 in the United States Supreme Court, you probably didn't have much of a case to begin with, but there could be certain people that look at it differently, Russell. But yeah. I go back, and one of the things that I've been saying on this show for the last couple of years now is that the reason, because fans don't like a lot of what they see, and I get it. I don't like it either. I'm a fan. Right. I mean, the reason I do what I do in sports is because I'm a fan first and foremost, but I don't like it either. But the reason a lot of it's happening is because for decade upon decade, NCAA rules were very clearly breaking the laws of the United States of America. And one of the things I've said as well is that our Constitution and our laws don't allow entities to restrict the rights of free American adults. And let's face it.
Correct.
College athletes are free American adults. So, again, what might be different, whether it's your bill or others similar to yours, that's going to allow the NCAA to do some things without those things that are there for them to be sued over?
Yeah, so I think you're exactly right. If you back up, the NCAA and other entities, they're not the only game in town, but they were too restrictive, right? That you're 18 years old, you can vote, you can die for your country, but you can't make money on your name, image, and likeness. Again, a unanimous Supreme Court, which doesn't happen often, came in. So we went from too restrictive to very wide open. And so courts right now are in this weird spot, Jay, where, there is a current, or there was a case last year where a guy was playing basketball and wanted an 8th year of eligibility to play. Like, I mean, whoever this was is the Van Wilder of college basketball. And so, and again, there's a pending lawsuit now that has not been decided about whether you could transfer mid-season. If you have true freedom of movement, unfettered rules, then, you could basically play games for hire, right? Like, South Carolina's playing Clemson this weekend. They need help. We can flood it. So again, it just is untenable. And what happens is we're moving to a system where it's not about the college athlete. It's about the sport and the free agency of it. And the whole point of college athletics is that you do your sport, but you also go to school, right? Like at the end of this, if you're not doing some sort of professional career, you're going to have a college degree. You're going to make something of yourself. And ideally, because of the coaching and because of your experience as a college athlete, you will be better because of your playtime in a sport. And so for us in Congress, I think there are a couple components that, and again, I'm a limited government conservative through and through. And so when Congress wants to come and set up commissions for things, I think that's just a wrong approach. But what I think you need is you need to provide some oxygen in which all these entities, including the players, can come up with their own rules without being sued all the time. So you've got to have the liability safe harbor. You've got states right now, Jay, Georgia being one of them, who say, hey, if you come, there's a bill in front of the Georgia legislature that says, hey, if you come to the state of Georgia, you're not going to have income tax on your NIL. So you have states that are creating these protectionist policies for their own state. And again, you got coaches like Shane Beamer was up there. He said it's so hard to navigate 50 different states and how they treat this stuff, right? Like it's just untenable. And so you're going to have what they call federal preemption, which means that the federal government controls this space. We control any number of different spaces. And so states don't have the ability to pass laws restricting college sports or enhancing college sports. That's uniquely within the purview of the federal government through the Interstate Commerce Clause in the Constitution. That's how we'll do that. And then you've got the liability shield. You're going to have to solve this employee status issue. So there are some on the left side of the equation, not all of them, but some of them, that say that students should be considered employees of a university. And if they are indeed employees, then in some states they could unionize. And the problem with that, it goes back to the whole thing is if you offer 15 different sports at your university, if you have an employee status, you're paying taxes on them. You have a relationship now that exists between the player and the coach. It's employee-employer, which means that they could be subject to be fired. You've got workers' comp issues that impact state budgets. An employee model is not really where this needs to go. And there are some Democrats that actually agree with us on that. And so and if you can do that and you can take some of the terms of this settlement that should be resolved, there's a class action settlement, you can do that and put that into a bill, keep all the eccentric stuff out of this thing, and let the SECs and the conferences and the schools and the players come up with their framework, then that's all you need to do. We don't need to go over-regulate this thing. Keep it simple, but preserve the integrity of college athletics and the college experience for the student.
Yeah, and you do. I'm talking to Congressman Russell Fry here on the post-game show this afternoon about an NIL bill in Congress and one in which he's sponsored. I do want to expound upon that last answer because a lot of listeners, and not just here to me, around the country, Russell, have said, well, why can't they do what the NFL does, the NBA? And I'm like, well, and you just kind of hit on it. Those are collective bargaining agreements. Those are unionized employees, and that's why there are those, quote, restrictions, and it's not the same. So is there some form of collective bargaining that can occur so that when a high school kid signs, we're not even talking about transfers anymore at this point, when someone enters into this particular realm, they at least have a set of things that they know in advance that could prevent some form of litigation? How difficult is that going to be if it's not full-on collective bargaining? What gets you close to?
Well, right now, like within the NFL, you can't just leave and go to the next team at your own choosing, right? Like you're with that team until they decide to, retire you or trade you or whatever.
Yeah.
Here you've got the transfer portal, right? And so if you have that, and people have, the players would say this too, like, don't make me an employee. That was the interesting thing from the hearing this past week. Shane Beamer's up there with the track, athlete, a former football athlete from a small school, and some others. And they said, we don't want the employee status, right? We don't want the dynamics of that. We don't want the loss of benefits or to be taxed on things like tutoring and things that come with going to the school that they'll now be taxed on. We don't want any of that stuff. And so if you have the preemption, you have the liability, and you have the rules that are kind of bargained out in advance between all the parties, then those are the rules that they operate under. And again, the NCAA isn't the only game in town and might not be the only game in town in the future. That's kind of up to them and the schools that are under that umbrella. But there are two other NCAA-like entities out there and again, people can do what they want to do. But for me, the freedom of contract is important. These are adults. Obviously, they most likely have agents. One of the terms of the settlement, which I think is really interesting, at least for the A4 conferences, so the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, they've got to come up with a clearinghouse. It's an NIL clearinghouse that's supposed to make sure that, if you get an NIL deal, that you're actually performing some public good or service because of that, and they're not just paying you to go to that one school, right? So if it's a car dealer, that you show up however frequently to do autographs, things like that. And so people have, of course, the freedom of contract. I don't want to legislate the transfer portal. I don't think that's our place to say that, students can only do this however many times. If Jay was king for a day and I was king for a day and your listeners were, we could fix it. But the federal government's role is very limited here. Let them figure it out, right? This is a private contract issue of an association, who you choose to play for and with. And we don't need to go legislate that. That's not really our role. But, I'm optimistic about it. I think we got some thorns, but Senator Ted Cruz has got a working draft over in the Senate. He's kicking it around. We're having hearings on Capitol Hill now, but there seems to be, some goodwill built up that, hey, you know what? Let's go do this now. Let's go get this across the finish line now and protect college sports for the universities, for these Olympic sports, and of course for the students.
Congressman, I appreciate you. We'll certainly continue to check in as this moves forward. I know a lot of fans are just tired of the clutter of all the state laws, as you kind of mentioned. So we'll see where this goes next. We'll check in again soon. Appreciate the time. We'll get dad jokes next time, too. Okay? We'll do it for you.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's Congressman Russell Fry of South Carolina's 7th District. This is the postgame show.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
This is Bill Ryder with a Sports Minute sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. If LeBron James really cornered Stephen A. Smith at a Lakers game last night because he didn't like the media personality's criticism of his son Bronny, then LeBron's got some soul searching to do. It's LeBron who pushed the Lakers to draft Bronny. It's LeBron who's put his son in this difficult position. I'm rooting for Bronny James, but whatever struggles he has are on LeBron. I'm Bill Ryder.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3.
I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
A special post-game show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC Tournament.
Sponsored by Lexington Discount Homes. Experience matters. Check out Lexington Discount Homes on Augusta Highway in Lexington.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Welcome back. It's the post-game show here on this Friday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. Captain David, Master Control. Thanks again to Congressman Russell Fry for joining us. Again, maybe a long way to go, Elijah, when it comes to getting something done. And I know there's a lot of folks out there, again, no matter their political persuasion, that may say, why is Congress getting involved? Let the NCAA figure it out. I think that's why we're in the mess we're in. But I thought Russell made a good point about, again, this just patchwork state laws and he's right. And look, every state could go in. I mean, look, South Carolina has a law, as you well know, NIL law, Elijah. All right, Georgia has one that says no state income tax. All right, well, and I'm being hypothetical here, but what's to prevent South Carolina, the guys across the street, from saying, okay, no state income tax and $1,000 residency bonus. And then Georgia says $2,000. I mean, this is never ending if it comes to state versus state versus state versus state. I'm pulling for somebody to do something. I just don't know what it looks like.
That's kind of the whole issue, right? Is no one knows what it looks like, and we're winging it. Everybody's just winging it. That's kind of the big issue right now. And yeah, I have a hard time garnering any sympathy for the NCAA, even when they send all the coaches and everything to Capitol Hill to talk about how difficult it is, how we need help. But the NCAA leaders that are the ones asking for help should have been the ones to help themselves in the first place.
Right.
Like at this point, they should have no say really in how this ends up. ends up going, because they've had their chance. They've had decades. They've had decades to be able to fix this. And right now it's at the point, the landscape we live in right now, I think, is what we're going to see for the foreseeable future, just because legally it's the only thing that can become somewhat sustainable. And when people use the term, wild, wild west to describe the college sports landscape, it's going to be that for a while.
It is.
Look, I don't expect Congress to come up with some type of resolution. They can't come up on a resolution of anything, let alone, how we handle something already really complicated. They can't handle the simple stuff, right? This is also very complicated. So,
well, that was the first thing I asked Congressman Fry. Was how hopeful is he that something like this subject matter? I mean, listen, in an ideal world, which we'd all love for a compromise to occur where everybody's happy. We know that's not practical, so that's why the ideal is always something that is virtually unattainable. But in a situation like this, we've seen bipartisan support, at least in public, but that when it gets into the legislation, like so many other things in this country, it goes away. And again, I want everybody to know, I'm not blaming one party or one ideology over another on this. I don't really want Congress to be involved in this either. But to the point that Russell Fry made, to what Elijah just said, to what many of you as fans have been saying for a while, why'd you get into this mess in the first place? Well, it's because you were making rules that were breaking the law. And for those of you who didn't know that, trust me, that's what was happening. You were making rules that were against the law. So where's that form of collective bargaining, to Congressman Fry's point, Elijah, that isn't full-on employee status, but that would allow those who enter into the collegiate athletics realm to know, at least over a 5-year period, this is what you're signing up for. But then the answer to that, of course, could be, well, hey, I didn't have any say in that. But you know what? Rookies that come into the NFL this year didn't have any say in the CBA, but they have to abide by it. So where's that trade-off? I have no idea. And I'm hopeful somebody out there figures something like that out, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's hoping. Headlines of the day, top of the hour. A lot more from Elijah coming up from Greenville. Lulu Keston will join us as well. A busy final hour coming at you.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Sponsored by Brakes for Less.
Brakes for Less is what we do. We know drums, rotors, pads, and shoes. It doesn't matter what kind of car you got. Call 833-269-STOP. All we do are Brakes for Less.
I know I got good taste, and when I'm in the mood to show it off, you already know I'm going to McDonald's. And with the mix and match deal, showing off has never tasted better. I can choose from the classics like the iconic Big Mac, juicy 10-piece chicken McNuggets, or my absolute favorite, the crispy filet of fish. Choose any two for just $6. What you waiting for? Head over to McDonald's and show off your good taste. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Offers not in conjunction plus tax and title. Call 888-214-1167 for details. It's the grand opening of our brand new JT's Kia on Greystone Boulevard. And we're giving away $10,000 in cash. Just come in and register at either JT's Kia location. JT makes it easy. No payments for 6 months. Get up to 20% more for your trade, and you could win $10,000. Our grand opening celebration celebration is going on now at JT's Kia. Killian Road at I-77 or the all-new JT's Kia Greystone.
Bothered by back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain? Get back in the game with The Joint Chiropractic. No appointment is necessary and no need to worry about insurance. The new patient special includes a consultation, exam, and chiropractic adjustment for just $29. FSA and HSA approved. At The Joint Chiropractic, you don't have to feel bad to feel better. Walk in today without an appointment. Clinics are conveniently located in Forest Acres, Harbison, Killian, and Lexington. Online, thejoint.com.
You want to remodel. Actually, you need to remodel. I'm Eddie Springer of Trey Cow Builders, and with us, remodeling is easy. Whether it's your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or even the whole house that needs an upgrade, at Trey Cow, we'll help you every step of the way. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit TRECALbuilders.com. Trey Cow Builders, quality from start to finish.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. And now, WIS TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
From the WIS TV Traffic Center, we're looking at an accident. 26 will be westbound at Airport Boulevard, exit 113. Another one, 378 near I-26 at Crowley Mill Road. A wreck there. Also, that's a heavily traveled area this time of the afternoon. Lee Park Road at Augusta Road, Highway 1, wreck there. Also one at Colonial Life Boulevard at I-126. Ashland Road at St. Andrews Road, got a wreck there at Forum Drive. Near Town Center at North Springs. So a lot of problems this afternoon. Be careful on your drive home. This is Captain Dave, WIS TV Traffic Center.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law, Lexington Discount Homes, and Winland Foods.
On the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Friday. Welcome back into the post-game show. Jay Phillips inside the Herndon Chevy Studios. Elijah Campbell's at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville. Captain David, Master Control. We start with South Carolina women's basketball winning their opener in the SEC Women's Tournament. Final score 84-63. If you only saw the final score, you may say, sure, comfortable win. And you know what? In the grand scheme, yes, comfortable win. But Vanderbilt outscored South Carolina by 12 in the third quarter and was playing really well to open the fourth quarter and cut the lead to 5 points before South Carolina pulled away late. South Carolina led by Chloe Kitts, who was magnificent. She played 29 minutes, 12 of 14 from the floor, kids. 12 of 14 from the floor. She had 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, 25 points to lead the way as South Carolina moves on to the semifinals of the SEC tournament. Malaysia Fulwiley with 15 points off the bench. Joyce Edwards had 12 in a substitute role as well. And the only other double-figure scorer today, Sanaya Fagan, who was also excellent from the floor, 6 of 8. She had 13 points to go along with 9 boards, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. By the way, Chloe Kitts, in those 29 minutes, as a big, did not commit a personal foul. Elijah Campbell was courtside at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. He joins us now. He's still in downtown Greenville. I know you spoke with Chloe after the game. A magnificent performance. I don't know what I'm most impressed by, but I think sometimes when you're a big and you play that long and you don't commit a foul, my goodness, you seem to be in complete control of what you're doing.
Well, especially considering how physical this game was down on the block. That's one thing that you notice, when we're sitting that close, is how physical the game got. And she had to finish through a lot of contact in this game. She, whenever she was getting offensive rebounds, she did a really good job with her pump fake, which has gotten a lot better over the course of the year. But one thing that I noticed that she did really well today was finish through contact. That wasn't something that she was doing last year. She put on some extra muscle in the offseason. And that's one of the things I asked her is, how do you kind of apply that, added muscle to being able to finish through contact, right? Apply it in a basketball sense. And she said it's something that she's always kind of enjoyed doing, is playing through contact, seeking it out, but now she just finishes through it better, right? And she's always had good enough touch around the rim to where if she's able to get good post-up positioning, she's going to be able to score a lot of points, right? If she's given the space and getting close enough around the basket. And it helps that her jump shot was on really well today, too. She handled the ball really well. But for her to not commit a foul, as physical as it got, as physical as Vanderbilt played them, might be the most impressive part.
Yeah. When I see something like this, too, Elijah, it makes me think, all right, how much is South Carolina adjusting now postseason-wise to the loss of Ashlyn Watkins? She's been gone a long time, but are you sensing that this team now, because it certainly felt for a large stretch of this game like they were, and I know they literally are playing postseason basketball, but that there was a different, again, they had a little lapse in the third quarter into the fourth quarter, but from that perspective of the bigs and what they're doing and the physicality, has this team learned to play with who they are?
I think so. The one thing that, as it relates to this team right now that's a little puzzling is kind of the starting five. I think the starting five was probably the least efficient unit on the floor today. When you look at how the game started, Vanderbilt took a little bit of an early lead. Lay and Joyce come off the bench. You see the run that they made, which was 37-10, mind you, to end the half.
Right.
And then, the starters come out in the second half. Vanderbilt scores the first 9 points of the second half, having to resort back to the bench. I don't have what the exact, starter numbers are in front of me in terms of what the efficiency is like. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is that the starting unit kind of let them down a little bit, and that's something that hasn't always been the case. Yes, they have the number one, most productive bench in America, but at the same time, you don't want to have to continuously rely on that. You need to be able to get buckets and be able to get some stops with the starting five that you have so you can start games faster. We saw that in the 3 losses this year. What happened in those games? The other team started off really quick. The Texas in Austin got off to a hot shooting start. UConn here got off to a really good start against UCLA. UCLA hit them in the mouth early. Starts are really important to this team, and there's a direct correlation as to the starts they've had in their losses. The starting unit is what, you're dancing with what brought you here, but the starting unit might have to be revisited. I don't think it will. I think Dawn feels good about what she has, but they have to be able to get this off to some better starts.
Yeah, that's a fair point, man. Let's see, Bree Hall, 26 minutes, 3 points. I know she's not asked to score a lot, so I'll give her that. But Chloe, 25 points. Sanaya, 13 points. So there's 38. The other starters combined for just 13 points. And that includes Tahina Paopao scoring 8. Again, Joyce with 12 off the bench. Malaysia, 15 off the bench. So, we've talked with Brad about that a lot. Hey, are they going to make any changes? No, this is the formula that works. We'll see. We'll talk more about the women's game with Elijah, and again, Lulu Kesson on the beat for the Greenville News. We'll join Elijah courtside, or at least not courtside, but concourse side, I should say. Concourse side. Yeah, that's a nice new term that we've come up with today. In just a little bit. Speaking of the Gamecocks, the baseball team back at it tonight as we continue our integrated media headlines of the day. South Carolina hosting Morehead State tonight. And Coach Paul Mainieri saying, we had some hiccups along the way last week against Clemson with the rotation, but we're going to stick with it.
I kind of like that order right now. It's a constant evaluation thing, based on just pure stuff, Jake McCoy is the more natural Friday night starter. But, Becker's got the experience. He's got, the repertoire of pitches. He's got a lot of other qualities about him that I think he can do a good job on Friday. my bigger concern is the end of the game bullpen for us, and I'm just hoping I don't have to move Becker into the bullpen. I talked very confidently that Sweeney was going to be able to handle that along with Morlott and some other guys. The last, performance by Sweeney was not good enough to save a game for us, but nobody's perfect, and everybody can have a rough outing. So we'll see how everything is after this weekend, and we'll take a good hard look at it all and, hopefully put ourselves in the best position for Oklahoma series.
That's Coach Paul Mainieri before the game. It was actually yesterday's press availability. Again, the rotation for South Carolina, Matthew Becker tonight. The senior lefty is 2-1 with a 3.68. Jake McCoy, sophomore lefty tomorrow, 1-1 with a 3 even ERA. And Dylan Eskew scheduled for Sunday afternoon. The senior is 0-1, but with a very impressive 2.08 ERA. He mentioned the bullpen too, and Stuart Lake mentioned that with us earlier as well, Elijah, that Sweeney, who had a nice start, albeit against competition that was not superior to Clemson, and had a rough outing against the Tigers, but that Brandon Stone came in and did a nice job the other day in limited opportunity. He's got a 1.38, also has a win and a save in 13 innings pitched. So it could be that Stone is that guy, but Stewart, and I think he'll talk more about this tonight, made mention, kind of like Coach did, that there may have to be that possibility. I think the door isn't just like shut and unlocked, Elijah. I think it might be like, hey, Becker may have to be a bullpen guy. I'm going to be really curious to see how that goes maybe this weekend and into conference play next weekend. But I would say a lot of roles on this staff beyond the top two starters are still not fully defined.
Yeah, especially with how some of the games in the Clemson series ended, specifically that last one. I mean, in Game 3, everything kind of falls apart. Even if you did hit the ball a little bit better, especially with runners on, it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because you got down 8-2, right? Because you gave up 7 runs in the last 2 innings. And then in Game 2 in Greenville, you gave up a lot of runs late. Like, the starting pitching was really productive. But they can't pitch every inning of every game, right? You have to have some reliable players, and I know Stone is one of those guys that has played fantastic. And I heard what Stewart's nickname for him was it the Eclipse?
The Eclipse.
The Eclipse, I love that. But, that's great. You need more. And I was thinking, at some point, do you move, who do you move into the closer spot? I was like, maybe Brandon Stone's your closer. That's one point. And if he's a closer, then you need somebody who can provide you really good middle relief innings, right? Or, I don't know, it's a tough spot. I think you like what you have now as the starting rotation, and you'd feel good if you didn't have to change that before conference play, because that's what we did last year, right? It was a lot of shifting through and trying to find out what you have in your rotation by the time you get into conference play, and then there's no continuity. If you can keep the continuity you have right now, then you're going to be in better shape. I think that's the last thing Paul wants to do is shake up roles right before SEC play. But I don't know. We'll see what happens this weekend if he's forced to do it. But the last 2 games I find to be pretty encouraging.
Carolina Morehead State, game 1 of a 3-game set tonight at 7. We'll have it for you starting at 6:45. Cade Crenshaw in tonight and tomorrow afternoon for Derek, who, of course, is on Carolina basketball duty as they close out the regular season up in Knoxville. And again, the aforementioned Coach Stuart Lake on the analyst call tonight from the Ray. Speaking of tonight and series, South Carolina opens conference play at Oklahoma. This is number 2, Oklahoma hosting number 11, South Carolina. Both teams undefeated right now. The Sooners 19-0. Carolina 20-0. Fantastic opportunity for the Gamecocks going up against at least for now, Elijah Campbell, undisputed best program in the country. So massive opportunity for South Carolina this weekend.
Not just the best program in the country, maybe the best program in any sport in college sports,
maybe.
Right? Right. I was talking about that the other day. Is Oklahoma softball, I think it's Bill Gunner this morning, actually, on the morning show, is Oklahoma softball the best college sports program in America? It might be. 4 straight titles is 4 straight titles. That's like John Wooden, UCLA, 60s type stuff right there. So, that's... that would be a statement. And really, if you're Carolina, just win one.
Yeah,
that's a good.
Don't get swept.
That's a good baseline. That's a good baseline. Win one, show you belong. And who knows? If you end up taking 2 or 3 there, like let's just say they end up winning the series, not even get sweeping, but winning the series. The statement you make to the rest of the country. You've already made one, going 20-0, sweeping Duke on the road, winning a couple of thrilling games early in the season. You legitimize everything that Coach Chastain's doing over there in that program if you're able to take 2 this weekend. But taking 1, even that would be just massive in terms of legitimizing your program.
No, I agree, and it's not like anybody's saying anything too defeatist. But again, don't get swept. You need to go over there and show people that this is for real. And so far, it certainly seems like it is. But again, massive opportunity for South Carolina this weekend out in Norman. But yeah, that's probably a really good question. I'm surprised Gunnar came up with one so good.
That one came organically, so I'll take an assist on that.
Okay, that's good.
I'll take an assist on the topic.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I kid because I care. But we'll see. But Carolina, you can follow those games on GamecocksOnline.com. And the Gamecock softball Twitter feed, by the way, which is at Gamecock Soft BLL, no A. All right, just keep that in mind if you go follow along on Twitter. That's right. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, real quick, Carolina at Tennessee this weekend. Elijah will have a full EBPI breakdown during the drive around the SEC. But Tennessee smarting after a midweek loss. Can Carolina add to it and knock Tennessee down a couple of seed lines? They won there last year. Can they do it again? We'll discuss that for you coming up in just a little bit. All right, we'll stay with Elijah in Greenville. Lulu Kesson will join him tableside there on the concourse of Bon Secours Wellness Arena as South Carolina has advanced in the quarterfinal round of the SEC Women's Tournament. What to expect this weekend. We'll get Lulu's take on that and more when the postgame show returns.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. 107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
If you're a homeowner looking to make some home improvements, love the house you live in, got some equity build up, time for you to call Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. Take advantage of some fantastic rate opportunities with their home equity line of credit. Unlike a home equity loan or any other kind of loan, you're not borrowing one big lump sum. No, you open up that line of credit and then access it as you need it over a 10-year draw period to make it a lot easier and more flexible for you and your family, all right? Maybe you don't want to be, out of the house for a while doing a full-on remodel. Instead, take it step by step. Kitchen now, maybe a bedroom later, another bathroom, patio out back, whatever the needs are, Palmetto Citizens ready to help you out. And as a not-for-profit credit union, lower rates, fewer fees. Check them out online, palmettocitizens.org, or stop into any of their 14 convenient locations all across the Midlands. Good people in business for 90 years, Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union.
Sponsored by Metz Plumbing.
If you got a problem, it just won't quit. Just won't quit. And you need a plumber to make the trip. Metz Plumbing, MetzPlumbing.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Act now for spectacular savings on the best selection of new Chevys. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
People with arthritic hips are traveling from all around the world for hip resurfacing in Colombia. Here's Dr. Thomas P. Gross to explain why.
Many young active patients don't have to settle for a hip replacement. Hip resurfacing restores more natural hip function. It even allows you to get back to contact sports. We've done more hip resurfacings than any other practice in the country with great success.
For more information on hip resurfacing, visit midorthoneuro.com. Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.
After being almost $500,000 in tax debt, I was listening to the radio one day and heard a ad for John Ecton Law Firm. So I gave him a call and met with him, and he gave me the confidence to trust him after the reason behind my tax problems anyways was trusting someone I probably should have never trusted. He did everything he said he was going to do and then some. His staff at the office were great, very knowledgeable. With John's help, I have no tax debt now, and I was able to have a family that otherwise I would have never been able to have.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problems solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
Join us Sunday, March 16th for a spectacular evening at the Ice House Amphitheatre with Rattle and Hum, the ultimate U2 tribute band, presented by O'Hara's Public House. Experience an electrifying performance that captures the essence of U2's iconic sound and energy. With over 14 years of playing together, watch the musicians of Rattle and Hum bring U2's greatest hits to life. Gates open at 3 p.m. and the music kicks off at 4 o'clock. Secure your tickets online at icehouseamphitheatre.com and prepare for an unforgettable show.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Atkins Law. Remember, who you hire matters. Go to hollyatkinslaw.com.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
$19 minutes after 5 o'clock here on a Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the post-game show. Jay and Elijah with you. Appreciate you being with us. Elijah is joined on the concourse of Bon Secours Wellness Arena by our good friend Lulu Kesson on the beat for the Greenville News. Elijah, has Lulu gotten in on the joke about Bon Secours Wellness Arena, and will she be doing bingo, water aerobics, and pickleball later on this weekend?
We'll have to ask her. She is on the way. She texted me saying during the break and saying she lost track of time, but she is finding me. Probably. And if she hopped my spot in line for pickleball, I'm going to be really upset.
Or if she comes in with a robe and a towel, she's been doing water aerobics. This will be easy to figure out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of activities here. Or maybe she found the bingo room.
This will be really easy to figure out. How many Texas fans are at that facility right now?
I've seen a decent amount, more than Oklahoma. I'll say that. I've seen more Texas than Oklahoma, but a fair amount. Like, there was even a little mini Texas section during the Carolina-Vanderbilt game. It wasn't very large. It maybe filled up like 2 or 3 rows, but I've seen more Texas fans here than I expected to see that like aren't parents or family members.
Sure,
right?
Sure. It's a big school. They got alums all over the place, so I figure that's probably what is the quick EBPI opportunity for Mississippi tonight in that game?
Honest, I'll say it's about 31%.
Go.
31.
Okay.
A little over 30, just because of how hard they play defense. Like, look, Coach Yo's teams always give great effort. This team is sound defensively, not just because the effort's there, but their scheme's really good. Madison Scott's a great player. And that's the thing. I think Scott can kind of hold Booker a little bit. Madison, the battle of the Madisons here. Scott and Booker, if you can make Madison Booker an inefficient jump shooter, then you're going to have a chance in this game. And that's one thing I think Ole Miss, if they have any pathway to winning, it's taking Booker out of the game, make everybody else beat you. And Ole Miss is at least, if anything, geared to do that. And now as Lulu joins us, I don't know if we filled you in on the gag that Bon Secours Wellness Center sounds like a place where like water aerobics and bingo are done, just like an activities place. So did you come from the bingo room or the water aerobics? Or did you start pickleball before everybody else? Because that was scheduled for 7.
That's funny, yeah. This is definitely a silly environment for sure, my first year, but I definitely did not expect this many people in total for South Carolina fans, but I guess it makes sense. It's only like an hour north of Columbia.
It's basically CLA
and it's
at this point.
It's a great chance for for the upstate folk to be able to see the team without having to come down here. And believe it or not, there are Carolina fans in the upstate. I know people sometimes don't believe that, but it's true. There are a lot of Gamecocks that are from that way. Lulu, good to have you, even if I can't see you. Glad that you're there. Hope Elijah is treating you well. How much of a panic do you believe ran down the Gamecock bench between, say, 15 and 5 minutes left to go in today's game?
I definitely think maybe there could have been more panic. I was sitting right where South Carolina came out of for the start of the third quarter. And it wasn't as though they were like dancing or had smiles on their face, but you could tell it was a little bit of an energy shift even before the third quarter started. And so I was more so like, ooh, like this could mean something. Combine that with not really hitting the first couple shots. And I honestly think that might have been more of a moment at first where I was like, oh, like this is a different energy. And then when the lead kind of like started dwindling, I think South Carolina was visibly shaken up, and they're like, okay, we just let a 25-point lead turn into a 5-point lead against a very good team in a very, very chaotic environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that it was 25-5. It was 25-5 seemingly in the blink of an eye. And almost, really, the entire team that is on, minus Maddie and Joyce, were on the team here last year that blew a 20-plus point lead to Tennessee, and it required Camila Cardoso to bank in a 3 at the buzzer to end up winning that game. There were some strange ghosts, I guess, that still lingered from that one, because the way it played out was the exact same. Big lead going into halftime. You don't score. You're cold shooting out of the gates in the second half, and then the other team has a player that goes nuts. It was Rakia Jackson for Tennessee. It was Michaela Blakes here, because Michaela Blakes was able to hit a couple shots, changed the energy of the game. But when you saw late in the game, it felt like somebody had to take over. It was one of those somebody do something type moments, and Chloe Kitts kind of put on her cape and did something.
Absolutely. And what I find interesting about the run specifically is that I would argue in the first half what was the difference maker for South Carolina was the effort. Like every 50-50 ball, every rebound, on top of shooting 67%. Obviously,
that helps.
Yeah, that they weren't going to shoot, likely 67% again in the second half. But I sort of felt a drop off until Chloe Kitts took over. It sort of felt like she was like, okay, we're going to have to do this the hard way. Sort of like how Dawn said, like, wins are now ugly wins nowadays. We just need to win. And I definitely think there's a lot to clean up. But it is impressive how Dawn basically needed a score, with 4 minutes left, and Chloe's like, all right, I'm just going to do 7 of my own, like right off the gate. And you could just tell the competitive edge from her differed from the other players in that moment.
In different ways, too.
For sure. I definitely felt like with Chloe specifically, I think she was very, there was a lot of talk like, oh, she's physically stronger. Oh, she's this. It's all about the weight room. But I talked to her after the game about like mentally, how has this been? Going into year 2 as a starter is so different. And she's able to kind of develop when she's hitting her short jumpers, but also crashing the boards and getting pickups. So sort of like how Dawn's been on a little bit of like a layup kick lately. She's talked a lot about wanting her players to just make layups or just shoot layups, especially the guards. So I think Chloe was just very good at developing all levels of her game up until this point, and she really wanted to show that in the last 5 minutes.
Lulu, how much of a teaching moment was that stretch that I asked you about earlier? And I ask it like this, I think fans, this isn't just Carolina women's basketball fans in general, see something like that with their team and think it's only about their team. Vanderbilt's good. Vanderbilt's won 20-something basketball games. So, again, how much of a teaching moment in the sense that, hey, you're not sharp, you get beat. And can Dawn use that? What did she say in postgame that may allude to some of the things she can really tell her squad?
That's a great point. And although Vanderbilt is a very good team that I did expect to play better than it did in the first half, Dawn was very critical of the fact that that kind of streak of bad play was entirely self-inflicted errors. And I think that's kind of the teachable moment. It is March. I will say things like this happen where teams, basketball in general is a game of runs. I think this would be a lot more concerning in the long run if this was maybe kind of like the game against Tennessee in mid-January, where I was like, oh, they shouldn't maybe give up this big of a lead. Kind of looks like a mental crash out in a weird way. Whereas in essence, this was pure March basketball. Teams are going to make runs, but in that same note, it's so important they recognize that the mistakes were brought on by their own, issues, and that's what has to clean up, because a team's going to figure it out, and it might be a number 19 seed, it might be number 2 Texas in the Final Four. Whatever may happen to South Carolina going forward, they have to understand why exactly Vanderbilt got back in the game. And yes, they're talented, but a lot of it was because of what South Carolina was doing wrong.
How big of a, warning sign is the production of the starting 5 for you right now? Because the beginning of the game started off really slow offensively. Then you make the subs. Mylasia and Joyce come in. Bam, go on that massive run. Starting 5 comes back out second half, and Vanderbilt scores the first 9 points. It does feel like sometimes when the offense was at its clunkiest today, it was with the starting unit, which I found to be bizarre.
Yeah, and I saw your tweet about that, and I verbally, in my head, I agreed with you. I was like, great point, Elijah, when we were sitting far apart. But
don't do that to him. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him.
he just threw up a nice signal. I kind of break that question down in 2 parts. I think I've been overly critical and kind of watching the starting 5 with a close eye, because I have noticed exactly what you're saying. In the first quarter, I felt it was a little bit, okay, rust, they haven't played since Kentucky, stuff like that. Whereas to start the third, it really just felt disconnected. It felt like no one wanted to necessarily take the shot, but when they did, it felt like little things were bugging the starting 5 on offense more than it has in the last, 4 or 5 games. I feel like it's very up and down in terms of offense specifically with that group, and you could sort of tell that Dawn was like, all right, I need a sub Joyce, Tessa, and Leyen to score, which that's a bit of a concern in March. Was, that maybe something I was overreacting to in December, January? Could be. But, now you just need a very, very fluid offense from your starters.
Got to hit a break. Lulu, if you can, sit tight, because we'll get you and drive around the SEC with a little bit more of what's going on this weekend. And if not, you need to get back to Bon Secours pickleball or whatever, then Elijah will show you the way to do that too. Plenty more to do as we continue from Columbia and Greenville at the SEC Women's Tournament. Drive around the SEC is next.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Offers not in conjunction plus tax entitled with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. The grand opening celebration of the all-new JT's Jeep Ram on Greystone is happening now, and you could win $10,000 just for stopping by. Hundreds of new Jeeps and Rams to choose from. Get up to $12,000 in factory rebates and up to 20% more for your trade. Is your credit less than grand? JT loves to say you're approved, and you could win $10,000. Highway 378 Lexington, or the all-new JT's Jeep Ram on Greystone. Ram Truck Month.
Don't miss Aaron's 70th anniversary celebration all March long with 7 amazing deals, each under $70 a month, like a beautiful Woodhaven Shea sofa or a powerful HP laptop. Bring them home today, then pay your way over time with no long-term commitment. Plus, one penny gets you started on name brand appliances, electronics, and furniture. Explore the deals at Aaron's.com or your local Aaron's store. Don't wait. Aaron's anniversary sale ends March 31st.
Approval not guaranteed. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Join us Sunday, March 16th for a spectacular evening at the Ice House Amphitheatre with Rattle and Hum, the ultimate U2 tribute band, presented by O'Hara's Public House. Experience an electrifying performance that captures the essence of U2's iconic sound and energy. With over 14 years of playing together, watch the musicians of Rattle and Hum bring U2's greatest hits to life. Gates open at 3 p.m. and the music kicks off at 4 o'clock. Secure your tickets online at icehouseamphitheatre.com and prepare for an unforgettable show.
What's up, Gamecocks? Ben Cato, third-generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. If you own a lawnmower, one of 2 things is probably true. Either you've been putting it through the ringer, mulching up leaves and pine straw all winter, or you haven't touched it in quite some time. Either way, Cato's can get it tuned up, repaired, and ready to work. Weeds are peeking their heads out of the ground, and warm temps mean grass is about to grow. Don't wait until our shop is full. Visit Cato's today and get your lawnmower and grass cutting tools ready to keep you cutting.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. And now, WIS TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
Accident I-26 going to be at Piney Grove Road, also 26 eastbound after Old Sandy Run, 125 exit, I-20 eastbound at Wilson Boulevard, 77 north at Bluff Road, Fort Jackson Boulevard near I-77. Also, we have Lake Murray Boulevard. It's going to be a Rocky Creek Trail near Trojan Road. This is Captain Dave in the WIS TV Traffic Center.
Post-game show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Winland Foods. Looking for a great job with a winning team? Apply at winlandfoods.com/careers.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app. It's time for our drive around the SEC on the post-game show.
Georgia on the mountaintop. Demons be gone, and the drought is over. National champions.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
And it is indeed drive around the SEC time on this Friday. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips in downtown Columbia. Elijah Campbell, downtown Greenville. Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News is sitting next to Elijah on the concourse as we get ready for Game 3 of 4 today at the SEC Women's Tournament. Ole Miss and Texas tonight. That tips off in about a half hour. And the nightcap will be the surprise of this tournament, Florida, taking on LSU tonight. A little undermanned are the Tigers. Is there a possibility that Florida plays in tomorrow's semifinal, Mr. Campbell?
I'm saying there's a chance if Liv McGill puts up 30 points. I mean, she had 29 last night. If she does that again, you know, they're going to be in the game. I mean, I didn't give them much of a chance to beat Alabama. I think if I'm having to put an EDPI percentage on this, if I gave Ole Miss 31, I will give Florida 21% chance.
Okay.
What does the LBPI say, the Lulu Basketball Power Index?
That's funny. I like that. Honestly, it's hard. Flau'jae Johnson being out obviously is a huge loss, but
big deal.
You're always rooting for the underdog. Everyone loves that, but I do still think LSU has enough to get themselves over this one, even if Florida is obviously on a little bit of a hot streak in the tournament.
What was yours, Elijah? 21%, you said?
21 for Florida, 31 for Ole Miss.
Okay. The BPI, as if the computer knows what it's doing, has a 91% chance for LSU.
I don't believe in magic like I do.
And hang on, I think it was like 14.
The computer can't measure heart.
14, so 86% for Texas. Yeah, so the EBPI is far more optimistic. Before we talk more results and look ahead to tonight and this weekend at the women's tournament, I got to get Lulu's take on, again, I've used the adjective like last week and then today with Elijah, 20 times. The lame coin toss on Sunday. Sure, Carolina fans are glad that they won that coin toss, Lulu, but it's still incredibly lame. Are you hearing anything about a potential change to a tiebreaker system?
Well, if I have to argue that if there's any coach in the SEC right now that can make Greg Sankey have a new way of breaking a tie, I'd argue it's Dawn Staley, at least on the women's side. And I think her publicly going against it and saying, imagine if it was football, says a lot kind of about her feelings on it and how open she's being with it. Because I do think it's ridiculous. It's 2025, and you look at the breakdown for how men's sports tiebreakers are. And Dawn did admit, she was like, I learned that more sports than women's basketball use the tiebreaker. I'm glad I know that now. It makes me feel better. But, there has to be something come next year, because it's to do all that. And I also think in South Carolina's, yes, they won the coin toss, but I think a lot of the fans' frustration was a lot of the focus has been on the fact that Texas beat South Carolina by 4 recently, forgetting that South Carolina beat Texas by 17. Or Texas beat, So it's tricky when you look at, there's so many different things you could look at, and so I have to imagine that somebody is going to push for it to not be a coin toss next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I said aggregate scoring. If it gets to that point, then how'd you do head to head? All right, you split. All right, well, how'd you do in aggregate scoring? And that may not be the answer, but it's got to be. It's better than a coin toss because it's something you did, and I just think it's a really. I don't want to say it's a really bad look for the SEC. It just, to Elijah's point earlier, Lulu, it makes them look lazy.
That's definitely how it comes off to me. Look, if you have the time, effort, resources, and brain power to make a 35 or 36-page PDF to describe your elaborate football tiebreaker, you can't come up with one for all your other sports. Right. It almost seems neglectful, right? I know that's maybe not the intent, but that's the appearance, is that it almost seems neglectful of their sports. If football took that much precedent, and I get why it would take precedent, but to not have enough attention to detail about how your basketball rules need to change whenever you add 2 schools. This came up to everybody's conscience now that we had to have a coin toss tiebreaker. In football, you were so proactive to where you released that 36-page doc right as the season started, when you didn't need it particularly at that point yet. You had no idea to know if you would need it that year or not. The lack of proactivity makes it feel lazier on this side.
Yeah, I agree, but I think something will be done. How good it is, and look, maybe you don't need it again for another 20 years or whatever it was since they last used it. I forget how long it was, but you need to be prepared for it every year. And Elijah, to one of the points you made last week, if we're going to keep growing these conferences, and we are, then the likelihood of this happening is also increased. So I think you got to be better prepared for something statistical to pave the way, not a coin toss. Because otherwise, Lulu, I just told Elijah, just start flipping coins. Just, all right, you're eliminated next, and just let's just keep doing it that way. Nobody wants that. Lulu, how do you look at tonight's ball games? Again, we just talked about it. Texas, obviously, with a really good chance to beat Mississippi, but they're well coached. But, are we headed, in your opinion, towards another Texas-Carolina showdown on Sunday afternoon?
I think ultimately, but I do think Ole Miss is going to give Texas a lot of trouble. I think I covered the Ole Miss Mississippi State game yesterday, and I'll be honest and say obviously MSU's offense isn't comparable to Texas. That said, like Madison Scott and Madison Booker, that's going to be one heck of a matchup. And watching what Madison Scott was able to do on defense in crunch time, I think that's going to be a huge factor in tonight's game. And I definitely think that South Carolina got a pretty tough defensive effort from Ole Miss recently, and I think Texas maybe might not expect as much, coming into this. And not saying that they're taking the game lightly. I just think a lot of people are underestimating what Ole Miss can do and how they can really get in teams' heads, because when you can't score, like as South Carolina showed today, when you can't score, sometimes a lot goes wrong. So even though Ole Miss does struggle, translating their defense into offense, I think Texas will win, but I think it'll be a very hard-fought win, and I do think it'll ultimately be South Carolina-Texas round 3.
Again, Ole Miss.
A true tiebreaker.
Yeah,
yes.
Right, yeah. Hey, well, and maybe until they have to play a fourth time. Like, what if they... Well, never mind. I don't want to do that. Ole Miss, Texas tonight. I know, I'm not doing it.
Just speak it into existence.
And Florida versus LSU. Tonight, scheduled for right around 8:30. Before we get out of here on the drive around the SEC, men's basketball concludes the regular season tomorrow. We'll talk more in just a little bit with Elijah's breakdown of Carolina, Tennessee, and Knoxville. But also tomorrow, Kentucky goes to Missouri. Intrigue. Mississippi State, Arkansas. Intrigue. Vandy, Georgia. Elijah Campbell. Intrigue. Texas A&M, LSU. All right, no intrigue there.
No.
Ole Miss,
anticlimactic.
Ole Miss, Florida, seed intrigue, perhaps. Oklahoma, Texas. I don't know. I'm worried about both of them having a chance to make it. The big
possible bubble eliminator.
The big one tomorrow. Auburn hosts Bama.
Iron Bowl.
I'm liking this game. What time is it? That's tomorrow. What time?
I think it's the 4:30 game.
2:30.
Is it 2:30? That's a 2:30 game.
Yeah.
Word? Okay.
2:30.
Might have to dual screen it.
So that could be a good one. And, Auburn the other night getting beat. I think that was a little bit interesting. But I like
hangover game.
I like Auburn's opportunity to pull off the season sweep, man. I mean, they looked really strong in Tuscaloosa, and this one, Elijah's in their building.
Yeah, and that's the only team that's won there in the last 2 years is Florida, and it took a Herculean effort to be able to do so. Now, the thing with Auburn that might be a little bit concerning, Denver Jones missed the last game against against Texas A&M, and he's kind of a vital part to that team. They don't have a true point guard outside of Tahad Pettiford who comes off the bench, so he's like that true starting point guard for this team.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about Carolina, Tennessee in a bit. Lulu, I know you got a lot more work to go do covering all these games. Appreciate the time, and hope Elijah has treated you well, and enjoy the rest of what's going on at Bon Secours. Thanks we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Elijah's the best. I appreciate you guys having me on as always.
Good stuff. All right, we'll continue the drive around the SEC with the EBPI breakdown, Carolina, Tennessee, and wrap things up when the postgame show returns.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
This is Zach Gelb with the Sports Minute. Draymond Green said the other night he heard Karl Anthony Towns didn't play against the Warriors because he was ducking Jimmy Butler. In reality, Cat missed the game because unfortunately he had a family friend pass away from breast cancer. When Draymond was called out for his lie, he pretended to have no clue what was going on, then basically showed zero remorse and plugged his show with Baron Davis. Draymond should have only offered his condolences to Cat and admit he was wrong, but instead Draymond acted like a heartless human being. I'm Zach Gelb.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. but you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos. Fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
A special postgame show with Elijah Campbell live in Nashville covering the Gamecocks at the SEC tournament.
Sponsored by Lexington Discount Homes. Experience matters. Check out Lexington Discount Homes on Augusta Highway in Lexington.
On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Minutes in front of 6 o'clock on this Friday afternoon, nearly evening. Carolina baseball, 6:45. Gamecocks in Morehead State. Tomorrow, we got an interesting schedule for you, all right? So pay attention here, kids. There will be a quiz. Tomorrow, basketball pregame, 1:30 on 107.5 in Columbia. 3:45, baseball pregame on 98.5. And women's basketball, if necessary, on 106.7, B106 here in Columbia at 4 o'clock. So a lot going on around the Gamecocks tomorrow. Sunday, 1:15 baseball pregame and 2:30 pregame. Baseball will be on 98.5, and the women's SEC championship game, should Carolina beat Oklahoma tomorrow, will be right here on the Game in Columbia beginning at 2:30. Meantime, tomorrow, as we said, Elijah Campbell, Gamecocks close out the regular season against the Tennessee Volunteers. I know this is one that a lot of fans would like to see Carolina go win again. Tennessee smarting a little bit after getting beat the other day. That was a pretty good game. Mississippi, and that was in Oxford. I don't think that was a terrible loss for Tennessee. It might knock them down a seed line, but that's about it, yeah?
got from the Alabama win might not be as big, but at the same time, they still have an incredible resume. Like that's still a one-seed worthy resume with the amount of quad one wins they have. And look, there's no shame in losing to an Ole Miss team on the road, a team that plays really well at home, and in a game in which Tennessee, which are defensively, the thing they do best is force turnovers. They are great at forcing turnovers and contesting shots around the rim. Ole Miss just happens to be one of those teams nationally that just doesn't turn the ball over. They had 3 turnovers in that game. Like, they took care of the ball. And sometimes taking care of the ball and doing that fundamental stuff is going to do wonders for what your team can do against a team like Tennessee.
The BPI on this one, as you might imagine, sir, is not kind for South Carolina. Have you seen what the BPI is for tomorrow?
I'm going to guess that it's 97%.
Not quite that bad, but 93% for Tennessee. So you're pretty close. The EBPI tells you
90. I'll do around 90.
Okay.
You know, I'm not look, it's a terrible matchup because of what I just laid out earlier. Tennessee is so good defensively. They're so good at contesting shots around the rim. They're a lot like Georgia in the way that Georgia took over that game by getting off to an early lead because they made life hell for the Gamecocks in the paint. Like they're only making 34% of your shots within 4 feet of the basket is not an accident. It's not a fluke. That is the other team altering shots and blocking them. And Tennessee has very similar length, and they're deeper with their length, too. I mean, they bring guys like Cade Phillips off the bench. Darlison Dunbar, who's not very tall but has long arms, is really good at protecting the rim as well. They have just more ways to attack you defensively. And that's assuming you get the ball to the paint because Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack are the 2 best on-ball defenders probably in the country. I don't know if there is a better on-ball defensive duo in college basketball than Ziegler and Meshack. And this is a South Carolina team that has, many times this year, struggled to create opportunities off of the dribble. And if you're doing that against, your average opponent in the SEC, you're going to have an even harder time against Tennessee. I just don't know what the roadmap to 65 points looks like in that building.
Yeah, South Carolina is a 15.5-point underdog tomorrow. The money line is Tennessee minus 2,000.
Oh, heavens. Yeah, you ain't winning nothing if you take that.
We also know, and I'm not here picking, this is reality. South Carolina has secured the final seed, the last place seed, 16 seed at the tournament next week over in Nashville, Elijah. Right now, if things shape out the way they are, they'll play Mississippi State. But, what's the formula for leaving some kind of positive taste for this program in the next couple of games?
It's going to be looking competitive. Like, here's the thing. On the road, they've gotten blown out in so many games, minus the Vanderbilt game, which now looks even worse in hindsight because Vanderbilt's really good. You lost by only 3 despite turning the ball over 25 times. That one's one of the games we look at the end of the year and be like, how the hell do you let that one slip out of your grasp? But if you want to get some positive momentum for next year, you stay competitive against Tennessee. Like, you don't walk off the floor losing by 35 and thinking you could have left more out there. And then when it comes to the SEC tournament, you're going to play a winnable game in the first game. It's going to either be Kentucky, who's going to be without Jackson Robinson for the rest of the season. It's going to be, or maybe Mississippi State, who you took to the wire, and you'll be playing for a 3rd time, or Vanderbilt, again, a team that you went to their place and lost by 2 despite turning the ball over, a ton of times. So that's a winnable game. Win one in Nashville, and you'll feel better about yourself.
Enjoy the evening in Greenville, sir, and tomorrow afternoon as well. Great work, and thank you for all you did this week while yours truly was away.
Absolutely.
I'll find.
Get to do a show with you again.
Yeah, it was, and I'll find some way to say thanks beyond saying thanks. Good stuff. Y'all enjoy the weekend. All the Gamecock sports. We'll see you Monday. So long.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
And one final note from our friends at AAA Heating and Air. Listen, we're still in that period of hot, cold, right? I mean, it was like 30-something overnight, but it'll be 70-something this weekend, and then back to a little bit of cold. So make sure your system is keeping you comfortable no matter what you got to put it on. Heat, air, whatever. But soon enough, as you well know, it's going to be hot here in South Carolina. And maybe your system is a little older, not quite as efficient as it needs to be. Roy and Dana Finley and AAA Heating and Air have a fantastic opportunity for you. No payments or interest for a full year, guaranteed financing, a $1,500 system buyback rebate, and a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. That's right. All of those things can be yours, and you and your family will stay comfortable for many, many years to come. If it's the quick repair, a new system, 803-677-1500. Call the great people at AAA Heating and Air.
Sponsored by Metz Plumbing.
844-732-DRIP. If you got a problem, it just won't quit. And you need a plumber, Metz Plumbing, MetzPlumbing.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, where the inventory's overflowing and the deals are in full bloom. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Don't miss Aaron's 70th anniversary celebration all March long with 7 amazing deals, each under $70 a month, like a beautiful Woodhaven Shea sofa or a powerful HP laptop. Bring them home today, then pay your way over time with no long-term commitment. Plus, one penny gets you started on name brand appliances, electronics, and furniture. Explore the deals at Aaron's.com or your local Aaron's store. Don't wait. Aaron's anniversary sale ends March 31st.
Approval not guaranteed. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. And now, WIS-TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
An accident earlier at 26 at the 125-mile marker. Traffic slowed down still to about 25 miles an hour along through there. An earlier breakdown. Also on I-77 Bluff Road, still causing a bit of a slowdown there. Got some junk in the roadway, 20 eastbound Wilson Boulevard from an earlier accident, exit 71. Fort Jackson Boulevard near I-77 Myron Circle. An accident there, and then one at Lake Murray Boulevard near Rocky Creek Trail and Trojan Road. And a new one just happened, 26 at Sunset Boulevard, exit 110 between there and Augusta Road to exit 111. A car is on fire at that location. This is Captain Dave in the WIS TV Traffic Center.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Just in case you missed it, the best of the day on the Game.
Oh, the greatest day in the history of the world. We're going to preempt that today. We are. It's all good. It's what we call the shortened version of the halftime show. So we'll concentrate on the important stuff, which is the SEC tournament. South Carolina survives as they take out Vanderbilt in just a strange game. 84-63. South Carolina, if you add it up, played well, played phenomenally well for about 25 minutes of the 40. And then went in a funk the other 15. So that equals up to a 21-point victory. And, you know, it was just, and give Vanderbilt credit. You're down 25 at halftime. A lot of times you end up losing by 125. But the Commodores in the second half, especially that third quarter, really got it cooking. Scored 25 in the quarter, which if you take their other 3 quarters combined, they scored 38. 25 in the third. And South Carolina just didn't have an answer. Vanderbilt was making shots. They were winning the hustle plays. They were the team that was, better on defense. South Carolina, they were asleep in the third quarter. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Vanderbilt because, again, part of the cause was Vanderbilt came out in the third quarter and played really well. But South Carolina just, the energy and intensity that the Gamecocks played with in the first half on both ends of the court just wasn't there. Again, you're up 25. You think you're going to cruise. Now it's like, man, this is going to be easy. I might work on my opposite hand 3 in the third quarter. But, all of a sudden, the lead's getting cut into and it keeps going in the fourth quarter.